Baruch haba b'Shem Yahuwah. Yahusha, living water. Baruch haba b'Shem Yahuwah. I'll sing out with praise to you. Your name is beautiful to me, my King. I'll sing out with praise to you. My heart desires to honor you, my Yah. I sing out with praise to you, Yahusha. Living Torah, Baruch haba b'Shem Yahuwah. Yahusha, living Torah, Baruch haba b'Shem Yahuwah. I sing out with praise to you. Your name is beautiful to me, my King. I sing out with praise to you. My heart desires to honor you, my Yah. I sing out with praise to you, Yahusha. Living Torah, Baruch haba b'Shem Yahuwah. Baruch haba b'Shem Yahuwah. Baruch haba b'Shem Yahuwah. Baruch haba b'Shem Yahuwah.
Hear, O Yisrael, Yahuwah our Elohim, Yahuwah is one. And you shall love Yahuwah your Elohim with all your heart and with all your being and with all your might. And these words which I am commanding you today shall be in your heart, and you shall impress them upon your children, and shall speak of them when you sit in your house, and when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise up. And shall bind them as a sign on your hand, and they shall be as frontlets between your eyes. And you shall write them on the doorpost of your house and on your gates. And the second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. Hallelujah. Shabbat shalom, everybody. Glad you're all here. Well, it sure got cold in the last few days, hasn't it? I think we all can attest to that. But we serve a mighty Yahuwah, and his will be done. Yahuwah is kind. Yahuwah is loving. He loves us with an everlasting love. Yahuwah is gentle. Yahuwah favors those who show belief in him and love him. He's very kind, generous, merciful. We serve a mighty Elohim. Okay, so this Yom Shabbat, we're going to get into the Millennium Reign. And I think it's a very intriguing and interesting conversation and study we're going to have this evening. We'll not only study the Millennium Reign, we'll talk a little bit about the end of the latter days that brings the Millennium Reign in, and the time after the 1,000-year period. So millennium means 1,000. And so after the 1,000-year period of peace, we go into, it ends, we go into the white throne judgment and on into eternity with Yahuwah. So prior to the Millennium Reign, the second coming of Yahusha, and or the day of Yahuwah, then the Millennium Reign. And we'll talk about a little bit of pre and post Millennium Reign. Okay, so that sets the stage for what we're about to get into. We're going to be very powerful stuff here tonight. So gird your loins as a man and prepare yourself to be astonished by the word of Scripture, the word of truth, the teachings of Yahuwah. The secrets of Yahuwah will be revealed tonight. All right, so let me go over here and say hello to some of these folks here in the chat room. And William Kennedy, always glad to see you, brother. Jules Ann, glad to see you. Sandra Brunston, glad to see you. Peggy Russell, glad to see you. Peggy was one of the ones that convinced me to do these live broadcasts on StreamYard. And she's been my friend for a while now. Yami and Ruel Kato, glad to see you too. Yahuwah is the treasure, glad you're here. Joseph Hessen, glad you're here. Boyd, T. Boyd, Natsar, glad you're here, Tad. Brother Lou White, glad you're here. Sister Phyllis White, glad you're here. Dave Messenger, glad you're here, brother. Julian, glad you're here. Yeah, 2:04 a.m. in the Netherlands. Yahuwah Baruch you, brother. Branch of the Vine, glad you're here. MR3, Mr. 3 Jobs, glad you're here. Natsarim, glad you're here. SE from Tuscaloosa, glad you're here. All righty. Let's see if did I miss anybody? All right. If I did, I'm glad to see everybody. Glad you're here. So let's get into this study and see where it takes us this evening. Obviously, before the Millennium Reign comes, the world's going to go through tribulation. It's going to go through tribulation or the wrath of Shatan, and then it's going to climax with the return of Yahusha. And then the old will be destroyed by fire, and then renewed. There'll be a restoration happen. There'll be the second Exodus happen at the return of Yahusha. And then we'll go into 1,000 years of peace, or otherwise known as the Millennium Reign of Yahusha. We'll all be under the rule of the King of Kings and Master of Masters, or Sovereigns of Sovereign and Master of Masters. Okay, or the High Priest of the priests, if you will. All right, and so I think before we get started on the Millennium Reign, we kind of need to find out what's going to happen just prior to that, and therefore we'll be reading out Isaiah 24 real quick. You know, most people, okay, think that Yahusha's 1,000-year Millennium Reign, his 1,000-year reign, is just a small thing, just a tiny part of the scriptures of truth. And it's not really important. They get wrapped up more into the tribulation years, the first resurrection. Even some people go nuts and start saying there's a rapture is going to occur, but they get that mixed up with the first resurrection. Obviously, they don't understand there's two resurrections, and so the first resurrection becomes a mystery to them, and they make some stuff up, add to it, and call it a rapture. And then the churches fight over it. Churches fight about to see who the true church is. It's going to be raptured, and all the other churches have to stay behind, I guess, because they're false churches or circuses. So that's a bunch of falsehood. And so it's really not all that small. I don't understand why people reason it to be a small thing. It really is actually one of the largest, if not the largest, prophetic portion in scriptures. This is about the Millennium Reign. It's actually the opposite of what people think. So the scriptures does a great job developing the Millennium Reign character and conditions and events. And like I said, more than any other subject in the scriptures, really. So it's not really a small thing. It's a big thing. And it's something that we all can look forward to. This is the good news. This is the fun part. Living in peace and joy with Yahusha and being taught directly by him for 1,000 years. The first resurrection group, the bride, is going to have the privilege to living with him as his chosen, as his bride, as his election, as Yezharel. The rest of the world will be repopulating as the Millennium Reign progresses over the 1,000 years, and will repopulate the world. And people will live a lot longer. 100 years, they will still be counted as a child at 100 years old. And scripture tells us this stuff. And so, like I said, lots and lots about the Millennium Reign in scripture. We're not going to be able to cover it all, but I'm going to try to hit a lot of the most important parts of it, or the highlights, if you will. I'm not saying that anything's more important than the other, but we just are we're restricted with our time here. So we'll do the best job we can do. as we read through this. Okay? Peggy Russell, thanks to Yahusha and Mark for taking the studies to all who have ears to hear. A very good point, Peggy. I hope that Yahusha opens all our eyes and ears to understand his scriptures this evening and teach us his secrets. In the name of Yahusha, amen. Okay. All right. So like I said, probably should understand a little bit what happens just before the Millennium Reign comes in. And that's going to be destruction. Okay. So Isaiah 24 in the BYNV. Let's get a look at that, and then we'll get into the Millennium Reign. Everybody there? Isaiah 24, BYNB. See, Yahuwah is making the Eretz empty and making it waste, and shall overturn its surface. Overturn its surface? Is that like earthquakes and volcanoes? Sounds like it. And shall scatter abroad its inhabitants. And it shall be as with the people, so with the priest. As with the servant, so with his master. As with the female servant, so with her mistress. As with the buyer, so with the seller. As with the lender, so with the borrower. As with the creditor, so with the debtor. The Eretz is completely emptied and utterly plundered, for Yahuwah has spoken this word. So apparently now, this destruction just prior to the Millennium Reign is going to affect everybody. Doesn't matter who you are. I think this is what that's telling us. The Eretz shall mourn and wither, the world shall languish and wither, the haughty people of the Eretz shall languish. For the Eretz has been defiled under its inhabitants because they have transgressed the Torah, or the Torah, changed the law, and broken the everlasting covenant, which is what? The 10 Commandments, the 10 Debarim. Therefore, a curse shall consume the Eretz, and those who dwell in it be punished. Therefore, the inhabitants of the Eretz shall be burned, and few men shall be left. The new wine shall fail, the vine shall languish, all those glad at heart shall sigh. Okay, so apparently then this is speaking of just before the Millennium Reign. So it sounds like the world will be in horrible conditions. And will be mostly burnt up, and almost everybody will have been burnt up. And then we go into the Millennium Reign, where apparently things are going to be restored. I don't think, in my opinion, that the Millennium Reign begins the new heaven and the new earth. I think it's still this earth restored back to fruitfulness, is what I believe. Because otherwise, what would be the significance of the 1,000-year reign on the earth if it was all brand new? See what I'm saying? So I think it's going to be restored and replenished and ruled under the Messiah, in order so everybody can see how it was supposed to be, or how we should have been living our lives, perhaps, even under our human leaders. Maybe this is what it's all about. But nevertheless, it's going to be peaceful and joyful. And we'll know more about it when it comes, right? Okay, so this is what I believe. And you can see that the old earth is going to be fried, basically. Okay. All right. So then after that, we go into the Millennium Reign. Okay. So at that point, then Let's look over here, 25, Isaiah 25, 7 through 9 real quick. And he shall swallow up on this mountain the surface of the covering which covers all people, and the veil which is spread over all nations. So he shall swallow up on this mountain the surface of the covering which covers all people, and the veil which is spread over all nations. That's interesting. He shall swallow up death forever, and the Master Yahuwah shall wipe away tears from all faces, and take away the reproach of his people from all the Eretz, for Yahuwah has spoken. And it shall be said in that Yom, see, this is our Elohim. We have waited for him, and he saves us. This is Yahuwah. We have waited for him. Let us be glad and rejoice in his deliverance. So this is saying a whole lot of stuff, isn't it? So it's the covering, the misunderstanding, the veiling of their eyes. Everything's going to be removed. And he's going to wipe away the tears from their faces, and the people are going to know who he is. And he's going to be Yahuwah, our deliverer. They're going to understand that Yahusha is Yahuwah incarnated in the Millennium Reign. So this is speaking of the Millennium Reign. He's going to wipe away their tears and take away the reproach of his people from all the Eretz. You see that? And so there's going to be no crying, basically. Let's look over here, 26:13. 26:13. O Yahuwah our Elohim, other masters besides you have had rule over us. Only in you do we make mention of your name. The dead do not live, the departed spirit do not rise. The dead do not live, those who have died in Mashiach or otherwise. The departed Ruach, spirit, do not rise. What do you mean rise? I thought they already rose and went to heaven. Oh, they didn't? They're still in the grave? Oh, why? Because the being sleeps while the body returns to dust and has a Yahusha seed in order to resurrect them from their grave when he calls them out of it at the first resurrection. Interesting, isn't it? Okay, so you shall increase the nation, Yahuwah. You shall increase the nation. You are esteemed. You shall expand all the borders of the land. Yahuwah, in distress they shall visit you. They shall pour out a prayer when your disciplining is upon them. And as an Asha with child and about to give birth writhers and cries out in her pain, so shall we be before your face, Yahuwah. We have conceived, we withered in pain, we have given birth to win. We have not accomplished deliverance in the Eretz, nor have the inhabitants of the world fallen. Let your dead live, together with my dead body. Let them arise. Let them arise. Awake and sing, you who dwell in dust, for your dew is the dew of light. And let the Eretz give birth to the departed spirits. What? How can the earth give birth to the departed spirits if the spirits already went up into a place called heaven and has wings and they're up there flying around in a bird body? Now, something smells fishy here, doesn't it? It says here, and let the Eretz give birth to the departed spirits. Wow. Awake and sing, you who dwell in the dust. So that's your body and your Ruach. So your body returns to dust and your Ruach is sleeping in the dust. With the seed, if you are a Mashiach and pass away, his seed remains in you. And the same power that resurrected Yahusha's body will resurrect your body and then be changed into immortality in the blink of an eyelid. Think about that. Okay. Go, my people, enter your rooms and shut your doors behind you. Hide yourself as it were for a little while, until the displeasure is past. Is this speaking about falling asleep? Your room's your grave. You shut the door to your grave and just rest in there a little while. It could be, since it's in context to verse 19. I know a lot of people like to say that's your room in the set apart city, New Jerusalem, or maybe even your homes on earth, or even your fleshly vessel, but in context, it must be talking about the grave. Go, my people, enter your rooms and shut your doors behind you. Hide yourself, as it were, for a little while until the displeasure is past. Maybe they'll fall asleep, man. For look, Yahuwah is coming out of his place to punish the inhabitants of the Eretz for their crookedness, and the Eretz shall disclose her blood and no longer cover her slain. Disclose her blood, no longer cover her slain. That means they're coming up out of the grave. The earth's not going to cover it. See what I'm saying? I think this is talking about your grave, man. For those who fall asleep in Mashiach. Okay. At the first resurrection, they'll be called out of the room after the displeasure. I know there's other opinions on that, but that's my opinion. It just seems to be in context to me. In between verse 19 and 21, it's talking about the grave, man. Why would 20 be any different? Keep it in context. It has to be talking about the same subject. I'll read it yourself and decide for yourself what you think. Okay, let's go over to Isaiah 2. So this is telling us then that the first resurrection is going to happen before the Millennium Reign. Okay, that's what we're getting out of this so far. If y'all are picking up what I'm laying down here. Isaiah 2, 1 through 5. The word that Yeshayahu, the son of Amatz, saw concerning Yehuda and Jerusalem, and it shall be in the latter days, the latter Yamim, that the mountains of the house of Yahuwah is established on the top of the mountains, and shall be exalted above the hills, and all nations shall flow to it. And many peoples shall come and say, come and let us go up to the mountain of Yahuwah, to the house of the Elohim of Jacob, or Yaakov, and let him teach us his ways, and let us walk in his paths. For out of Zion comes forth the Torah, and the word of Yahuwah from Jerusalem. And he shall judge between the nations, and shall reprove many peoples. And they shall beat their swords into plowshares, and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither teach battle anymore. O house of Jacob, come and let us walk in the light of Yahuwah. Okay, so this right here now is speaking of the Millennium Reign. There ain't going to be no wars, no weapons, no wars, no fighting. It's going to be peaceful and joyful. And we're going to be taught from Yahuwah himself. So we're all going to go, regardless where you're at, we're going to migrate to Jerusalem and be taught by Yahuwah. Listen to Yahuwah teach. I might just stick around myself. I don't know about it all. Okay. So, let's go to Isaiah 11 now. Go over to Isaiah 11 and 12. It's just a little short chapter. We'll read Isaiah 11 and 12, and this will be our Torah portion reading for this evening, folks. Hi, Rose. Glad you're here. Isaiah Diaz. Glad you're here, brother. Earl Johnson. Glad you made it, brother. All right. Isaiah 11 and 12, our Torah portion this evening. I'll give Yahusha or Yahuwah a hand clap here. I don't know why, I just needed to do that. Okay, here we go. Isaiah 11. To speaking of the Millennium Reign, what we're studying about this evening now. And a rod shall come forth from the stump of Jesse, and a sprout from his roots shall bear fruit. The Ruach, everybody knows who Jesse is, right? King David's father. And then so Yahusha comes from the line of King David and Jesse. Okay. The Ruach of Yahuwah shall rest upon him. The Ruach of wisdom and understanding. Now, who are we talking about now? Well, obviously Yahusha. The Ruach and understanding, and the Ruach of counsel and might, the Ruach of knowledge and of the fear of Yahuwah, and shall make him breathe in the fear of Yahuwah. And he shall not judge by the sight of his eyes, nor decide by the hearing of his ears. So this is speaking of the 7 Ruachs of Yahusha, or the perfection and completeness of the Ruach HaKodesh, if you will. It also speaks of, 7 speaks of his omnipotence, his omnipotence, and his omnipresence. Okay, so in other words, Yahuwah is everywhere. He knows everything, and he's all powerful. He doesn't have to leave one place to go to another place. He's already there. So this is the power. Now, you notice these 7 characteristics of Yahusha, if you will, that we just read. If Yahusha is indwelling us, any one of us, have we become like Yahusha? Are we now walking in the true pattern of Yahusha? Are we like him? Do we have his characteristics? Do we display his spiritual fruits? Yes, we have to, because he's living in us. We can't contain him. His characters, his characteristics, his fruits, everything that makes who he is comes out of us and is seen by everyone. You see? So someone who is a teacher or a prophet or an emissary or a healer or whatever gift or job Yahusha is giving you, and he's working through you these specific jobs that he's given you, specifically, is going to display these same characteristics here. The Ruach of Yahuwah shall rest upon him. And this speaking to you now, because he's in you. The Ruach of wisdom, the Ruach of understanding, the Ruach of counsel and might, and the Ruach of knowledge and the fear of Yahuwah, and shall make his breath in the fear of Yahuwah, make him breathe in the fear of Yahuwah. Yeah, this is what you're going to be being behaved like. So when we see somebody behaving like this, we automatically know that we don't even have to assume, but know that Yahusha is in him, because he's displaying Yahusha's characteristics. See it? All right. But with righteousness he shall judge the poor, and shall decide with straightness for the meek ones of the Eretz, and shall smite the Eretz with the rod of his mouth, and slay the wrong with the breath blast of his lips. And righteousness shall be the girdle of his loins, and trustworthiness the girdle of his waist. And a wolf shall dwell with the lamb. Uh-oh. Is this talking about the Millennium Reign and what we can expect the characteristics and behavior of Yahusha to be while we're under his rule? Yes. And his bride will be the same as him. They will be one. And the bride will be one with him during the Millennium Reign. So let's read a little bit more about it. And righteousness shall be the girdle of his loins, trustworthiness, the girdle of his waist. We don't have to worry about him taking a bribe. He's going to judge righteously. His judgments are righteous, man. He has right judgment, right rulings. And Yahuwah delights in these. So we don't have to worry about getting a bad judge or a bad lawyer. He's going to judge righteously. And you'll know, if you're punished, you'll know you deserve it if he judges you wrong. And on the other side of the coin, if you're right, you'll be judged right. You don't have to be worrying about being judged wrongly or unfairly. That's not going to happen in the Millennium Reign. And a wolf shall dwell with the lamb. So see, even the animals will be at peace. And the leopard lie down with the young goat, and the calf and the young lion and the fatling together, and a little child leads them. What? So what's happening here? Well, obviously these carnivores are no longer carnivores. Sounds like to me they'll be eating vegetation. And the fear of Yahuwah will be in them like it was in the day of Noah and before the fall. Right? And so they'll fear the image of man, the image of Yahuwah, who is represented by man. They'll fear the image. They do now. That's why you see all these wild animals, when they see man or smell man, they're gone, right? For the most part, because they're afraid of the image. They fear the image. They don't fear the fleshly man. They know they can eat you anytime they want to, but they do fear the image. Now, there's some crazy animals that don't care, just like there's crazy people that don't care. You know, can an animal be possessed by a demon and attack you and kill a human? Yes. Animals can be possessed by demons and attack humans and kill them. For a normal animal that's not possessed by a demon, they fear the image that you represent, which is Yahuwah. You're made in his image and his essence. They're gone. And a little child leads them. That's amazing. A little 8-year-old boy be leading around the lion and the leopard. And a cow and bear shall feed. Their young ones lie down together. And the lion eats straw like an ox. See? So they're going to be carnivores no more in the Millennium Reign. So there's not going to be a whole lot of killing going on one way or the other, either way. Not by war, not by carnivores, not by anything. Just natural death. And the animals will not be eaten either. So those of you who are vegetarians and you don't believe in eating animals, your dream's going to come true in the Millennium Reign. At least it appears that way. And the nursing child shall play by the cobra's hole, and the weaned child shall put his hand in the adder's den. That's an interesting comment there. And the weaned child shall put his hand, a weaned child, like a toddler or something, shall put his hand into the adder's den. Adder? So I wonder if the cobra will even have poison. If all these poisonous snakes might not even have poison, why would they need poison? They're not going to be eating animals, are they? I don't think so. They do not. Their venom is for eating, right? Killing their prey and eating it. So maybe they won't even have venom in the Millennium Reign. I don't know for sure, but it kind of seems that way. They do no evil nor destroy in all my set apart mountain. Won't even be doing any evil in the set apart mountain, which is Jerusalem, right? For the arret shall be filled with the knowledge of Yahuwah, as the mayim covers the sea. See, so all the people and all the animals will know Yahuwah and fear Yahuwah. They're not going to do anything to get them in trouble with Yahuwah. They're going to know of him. They're going to know he's real. They're going to know he's powerful. They're going to know he's watching them every second, everywhere, no matter what they're doing and where they're at. And he knows everything. So the knowledge of Yahuwah is going to be like the mayim covers the sea. It's going to be everywhere. There's going to be no one not knowing Yahuwah. And in that yom, there shall be a root of Jesse standing as a banner to the people. To him the Gentile shall seek, and his rest shall be esteemed. And it shall be in that yom that Yahuwah sets his hand against us again a second time to recover the remnant of his people who are left. Who are left? From Asher and from Mitzrayim, from Pathros and from Cush, from Elam and from Shinar, from Hamath and from the islands of the sea. And he shall raise a banner. I mean, it must be left over from the destruction of the world, from the fire, from the burning of the planet, right? Yeah, it has to be. The ones that are left over. Very few men will be left, but there'll be enough left to repopulate this world, as I just mentioned. There will be some left over. Nations, and gather the outcasts of Yisrael, and assemble the dispersed of Yehuda from the four corners of the Eretz. This is the second Exodus it's talking about, when Yahusha comes back and he gathers all his people, or the wheat, if you will, to him. Okay, from the four corners of the Eretz. This is a very interesting as well. And this may be prior to the burning of the earth. And if it is, the reason they're not going to burn is because they're immortal. They've been given immortality at the first resurrection, but yet they're present for the burning of the weeds or the tars. So the wheats will be removed from the tars or the weeds, given immortality, and that's why the fire won't harm us. But not everybody's going to be burned up and destroyed. There's going to be a remnant of flesh left to repopulate. And the envoy of Ephraim shall turn aside, and the adversaries of Yehuda be cut off. Ephraim shall not envy Yehuda, and Yehuda not trouble Ephraim. But they shall fly down upon the shoulder of the Philistine toward the west. Fly down? How can they fly? Well, that's interesting, isn't it? But they shall fly down upon the shoulder of the Philistine toward the west. Together they plunder the people of the east, their hand stretching forth on Edom and Moab, and the children of Ammon shall be subject to them. And Yahuwah shall put under the ban the tongue of the sea of Mitzrayim, and he shall wave his hand over the river with the might of his spirit, and shall smite it in the seven streams, and shall cause men to tread in it in sandals. And there shall be a highway for the remnant of his people, those left from Asher, as it was for Yisrael in the Yam when he came up from the land of Mitzrayim. Wow. So there's going to be a remnant left. Now let's go to 12. And in that Yam you shall say, and in that Yam you shall say, I thank you, Yahuwah, though you were enraged with me. Your displeasure has turned back, and you have comforted me. See, all is my deliverance. I trust and am not afraid. For Yah, Yahuwah is my strength and my song, and he has become my deliverance. There's confirmation. Yahuwah is our deliverer. And you shall draw water with joy from the fountains of deliverance. Wow. Living waters, right? And in that yom you shall say, praise Yahuwah, call upon his name, make known his deeds among the peoples, make mention that his name is exalted. Sing to Yahuwah, for he has done excellent. This is known in all the earths. Cry it loud and shout, O inhabitant of Zion, for great is the set apart one of Yisrael in your midst. In your midst. I mean, she's going to be living right here on the earth with us. Okay. Powerful, man. Very powerful stuff right there. Okay. So this is all talking about the Millennium Reign, because there's still all kinds of stuff going on here. Okay. Referring to men. So, powerful stuff, man. So we can see now that the Millennium Reign is going to be a very exciting reign. To be there, it's going to be amazing and joyful and peaceful. There's going to be no end to the things that we're going to experience in this Millennium Reign. It's going to be like totally different than what anything we've ever known. Okay. So we've come to this point where we know that it's the Millennium Reign will take place after the destruction of the earth with fire. There's going to be restoration and a repopulation of the earth under the reign of Yahuwah. And people are going to know him. We're going to sing to him. We're going to praise him. He's going to be within our midst, walking around with us. Wow. You must have a body to be able to walk around, right? Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Very powerful stuff, man. All right, so let's move on here now. CPG Multimedia, glad you're here, bro. Zara Babala Ben David, glad to see you, bro. Glad you're here. Okay. Let's get another look at let's look at Isaiah 59, 12 through 21. Isaiah 59, 12 through 21. For our transgressions have increased before you, and our sins witness against us. For our transgressions are with us, and as for our crookednesses, we know them. Transgressing and being untrue to Yahuwah, and turning away from our Elohim, speaking oppression and apostasy, conceiving and pondering words of falsehood from the heart. Now, falsehood's a bad thing. Keep that in mind, that word falsehood, and we're going to visit that toward the end of this evening's study. And right ruling is driven back, and righteousness stands far off. For truth is falling in the street, and right is unable to enter. And the truth is lacking, and whoever turns away from evil makes himself a prey. Why? Because the evil ones see you and see you're trying to be righteous and good, and so they see you as a victim. And so they attack you and try to bring harm in different variations of ways to you. And Yahuwah saw, and it displeased him, that there was no right ruling. And he saw that there was no man, and was astonished that there was no intercessor. So his own arm delivered for him, and his righteousness upheld him. And he put on righteousness as a breastplate and a helmet of deliverance on his head. So there you go. Confirmation. Yahuwah is our deliverer. Okay, there was no one else, so Yahuwah had to do it. So the arm, when you read about the arm of Yahuwah, his righteousness or his arm and his righteousness upheld him, this is always referring to Yahusha in the Hebrew mindset. It's always referring to Yahusha. Okay. So now we know that Yahusha has to be Yahuwah incarnated. It's pretty simple to see that now. Okay, so now let's get into some serious reading here. I'm not going to do a lot of elaborating here. So if you have your BYNV, please open up to Isaiah 61 and read along, because we're going to do some serious reading here in a short period of time, okay? Everybody, turn to Isaiah 61 with your BYNV. The Ruach of the Master Yahuwah is upon me, because Yahuwah has anointed me, Aleph and Tau, to bring Besorah to the meek. He has sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim release to the captives, and the opening of the prison to those who are bound. No, to proclaim the acceptable year of Yahuwah. That's the day of Yahuwah. And the Yom of vengeance of our Elohim, to comfort all who mourn. So as you can see, we're starting to talk a little bit here about the Millennium Reign now, right? To appoint to those who mourn in Zion, to give them embellishment for ashes, the oil of joy for mourning, the garment of praise for the spirit of heaviness, and they shall be called trees of righteousness, a planting of Yahuwah to be adorned. And they shall rebuild the old ruins, raise up the former wastes. And they shall restore the ruined cities, the waste of many generations. And strangers shall stand and feed your flocks. And the sons of the foreigner be your plowmen and your vine dressers. But you shall be called priests of Yahuwah, servants of our Elohim. We getting the picture on the Millennium Reign here? Shall be said of you, servants of our Elohim shall be said of you, you shall consume the strength of the Gentiles and boast in their esteem. Instead of your shame and reproach, they rejoice a second time in their portion. Therefore, they take possession a second time in their land. Everlasting joy is theirs. For I, Yahuwah, love right ruling. I hate robbery for burnt offering. And I shall give their reward in truth and make an everlasting covenant with them. And their seed shall be known among the Gentiles and their offspring in the midst of the peoples. All who see them shall acknowledge them, that they are the seed Yahuwah has blessed. Wow. I greatly rejoice in Yahuwah. My being exalts in my Elohim. For he has put garments of deliverance on me. Immortality, folks. You will have, if you're part of the first resurrection, whether you be dead in Mashiach or asleep in Mashiach or alive, you will be given your immortal bodies during the Millennium Reign. Just the ones that are reproducing will still be flesh and blood, but they're going to live a long time. This is amazing. He has covered me with the robe of righteousness, garments of deliverance. The robe of righteousness, as a bridegroom decks himself with ornaments, and the bride adorns herself with jewels. You're going to have a body of light, man. And everybody's going to know who you are, because you're going to be immortal. They know you're going to be Yisrael. When they see you, they know you're Yisrael. For as the arret springs forth its bud, as the garden causes the seed to shoot up, So the Master Yahuwah calls his righteousness and praise to shoot up before all the nations. Wow. All righty, you get into 62. For Zion's sake, I am not silent, and for Jerusalem's sake, I do not rest until her righteousness goes forth as brightness, and her deliverance as a lamp that burns. And the nations shall see your righteousness, and all sovereigns your esteem. And you shall be called by a new name, which the mouth of Yahuwah designates. You're going to be given a new name in the Millennium Reign. And you shall be a crown of comeliness in the hand of Yahuwah, and a royal headdress in the hand of your Elohim. You're going to be kings and priests to Yahuwah, to all those people in the Millennium Reign. Of course, the King of Kings and the High Priest of the priests is Yahusha. He's the head. We're the body. We still will be sovereigns and priests, though. No longer are you called forsaken, and no longer is your land called deserted. But you shall be called Kephzibah, and your land married, for Yahuwah shall delight in you, and your land be married. For as a young man marries a maiden, so shall your sons marry you. And as the bridegroom rejoices over the bride, so shall your Elohim rejoice over you. I have set watchmen on your walls, O Jerusalem, all the Yam and all the Leah, continually, who are not silent, who remember Yahuwah, give yourselves no rest, and give him no rest till he establishes, until he makes Jerusalem a praise of the Eretz. Yahuwah is sworn by his right hand and by the arm of his strength. No more do I give your grain to be food for your enemies, nor do sons of the foreigner drink your new wine, for which you have labored. But those gathering it shall eat it and praise Yahuwah, and those collecting it shall drink it in my set apart courts. Pass through the gates, prepare the way for the people. Build up the highway, remove the stones, lift up a banner for the peoples. See, Yahuwah has proclaimed to the end of the Eretz. Say to the daughter of Zion, see, your deliverance has come. See, his reward is with him, and his work before him. You're going to get your mortal body. That's your reward. And they shall be called the Kadesh people, the redeemed of Yahuwah. And you shall be called sought out, a city not forsaken. Wow, powerful stuff, man. So you see how grand the Millennium Reign is going to be for those who love Yahuwah, his bride, his election, Yisrael, the chosen, the first resurrection, the new city. Living stones not made with hands. Hallelujah. This is powerful stuff, folks. Listen up. Let's look at 63 now. Who is this coming from Edom with garments of glowing colors from Botzra? Who is robed in splendor, striding forward in the greatness of his strength? It is I who speak in righteousness, mighty to save. Why is there red on your raiment, and your garments like one who treads in the winepress? This is speaking of Yahusha now. I have trodden the winepress alone, and from the peoples no one was with me. And I trod them down in my displeasure, and I trampled them in my wrath. Their blood is sprinkled upon my garments, and I have defiled all my raiment. For a yom of vengeance is in my heart. A day of vengeance is in his heart. And the year of my redeemed has come. Woo! The tars and weeds are going to be sickled. They're going to be tore up and burned up. And I looked, but there was none helping, and I was astonished that there was none upholding. So my own arm delivered for me. This is Yahusha again. Now, remember when you hear that idiom about my own arm delivered me, okay, that's always Yahusha, man. And my wrath upheld me, and I trod down peoples in my displeasure, and made them drunk in my wrath, and brought down their strength to erects. Is there going to be a day of the wrath of Yahuwah? Yes. The tribulation years, the last 3.5 years, allotted to mankind, which is known as the tribulation years, is the wrath of Ha-Shatan. Shortly after, when Yahuwah cuts the day short, cuts the reign of the devil short for the sake of his election, comes the day of Yahuwah. It starts with the first bowl, pour down on those who have taken the mark of the beast or kneeled down and worshiped the beast or taken his mark. Sores will come all over their body. That begins the wrath of Yahuwah. It's at the very end of the tribulation. A lot of people teach that the 3.5 years of tribulation is the wrath of Yahuwah, and this is not the case. It's the wrath of Ha-Shatan. He's let loose to go nuts. All barriers and restrictions are taken away, and he gets to go crazy. Okay? Do whatever he wants for 3.5 years. But then comes the wrath of Yahuwah upon him and his army, not upon the beloved. But the beloved will be here. We ain't going nowhere. Yahusha's, the bridegroom's coming to us on a white horse with his armies. We ain't going to him. He's coming to us. Okay? Right after the wrath of Yahuwah takes place, the bridegroom, the king, returns. Okay? All right. So let me recount the kindness of Yahuwah and the praises of Yahuwah according to all that Yahuwah has done for us and the great goodness toward the house of Yisrael, which he has done for them according to his compassion and according to his many kindnesses. So Yahuwah is compassion, has lots of compassion and kindness. And he said, they are my people, children who did not act falsely. So falsehood, falsely, remember that. He became their deliverer, and Yahuwah became our deliverer. In all their distress, he was distressed, and the messenger of his presence delivered them. In his love and in his compassion, he redeemed them, and he lifted them up and carried them all the days of old. So he doesn't forget you when you get old and gray hair and you can't get around. He'll carry you all the days of your oldness. But they rebelled and grieved his Kadesh Ruach. They grieved his Ruach HaKadosh. Man, don't grieve the Ruach. So he turned against them as an enemy, and he fought against them. Then he remembered the days of old. Moshe, his people. Where is he who brought them out of the sea with the shepherd of his flock? Where is he who put his Ruach HaKadosh within him, who led them by the right hand of Moshe, with his comely arm, dividing the water before them to make for himself an everlasting name, who led them through the deep? Like a horse in the wilderness, they did not stumble. As a beast goes down into the valley and the Ruach of Yahuwah causes him to rest, so you lead your people to make yourself a comely name. Look down from the Shemayim and see from your set apart and commonly dwelling. Where are your ardor and your might, the steering of your inward parts and your compassion toward me? Are they withheld? For you are our father, though Abraham does not know us and Yisrael does not recognize us. You, O Yahuwah, are our father, our redeemer. Your name is from old. O Yahuwah, why do you make us stray from your ways and harden our heart from your fear? Turn back for the sake of your servants, the tribes of your inheritance. For a little while your set-apart people possessed it. Our adversaries have trodden it down, your set-apart place. We have become like those over whom you never ruled. Your name is not called on them. Let's continue on. Hi, Cato. Glad you're here, bro. Hi, Rose. Glad you're here. Oh, that you would tear the Shemaim open, come down, that mountains tremble before you as when fire burns twigs, as fire makes water boil, to make your name known to your adversaries, so that nations tremble before you. When you did awesome things which we did not expect, you came down. Mountains trembled before you. Since the beginning of the ages, they have not heard nor perceived by the ear, nor has the eye seen any Elohim besides you, who acts for those who wait for him. You shall meet him who rejoices and does righteousness, who remembers you in your ways. See, you were wroth when we sinned in them a long time, and should we be delivered? And all of us have become as one unclean, and all our righteousnesses are as soiled rags. And all of us fade like a leaf, in our crookednesses, like the wind, have taken us away. And there is no one who calls on your name, who stirs himself up to take hold of you. For you have hidden your face from us, and have consumed us because of our crookedness. And now, O Yahuwah, you are our Father. We are the clay, and you are our potter, and we are all the work of your hand. Do not be wroth, O Yahuwah, nor remember crookedness forever. See, please look, all of us are your people. Your set-apart cities has become a wilderness. Zion has become a wilderness. Jerusalem has a waste. Our set-apart and commonly house, where our fathers praised you, has been burnt up with fire, and all that we treasured has become a ruin. In view of this, would you restrain yourself, O Yahuwah? Would you keep silent and afflict us beyond measure? Okay. Now we get into more in 65 here. It gets deep into the Millennium Reign, and 66 as well. So these last two chapters are extremely important to our study this evening. But I hope you're all catching this. Very powerful stuff. All right, let's continue on. I have let myself be inquired of, not by those who asked, I was found, nor by those who sought me. I said, here I am, to a nation not calling on my name. I have held out my hands all yom long to a stubborn people who walk in a way that is not good, after their own thoughts. The people who provoke me continually to my face, who slaughter in gardens and burn incense on altars of brick, who sit among the graves and spend the night in secret places, who eat flesh of pigs, and the broth of unclean meat is in their pots, who say, keep to yourself, do not come near me, for I am set apart to you. These are smoke in my nostrils, of fire that burns all yom. See, it is written before me, I am not silent, but shall repay, and I shall repay into their bosom. Your crookednesses and the crookednesses of your fathers together, said Yahuwah, who burned incense on the mountains and reproached me on the hills, and I shall measure their former work into their bosom. Thus said Yahuwah, as the new wine is found in the cluster, and one shall say, do not destroy it, for there is blessing in it, so I do for my servant's sake, not to destroy them all. So not all of them will be destroyed when he destroys the earth. The remnant will survive in order to repopulate. And I shall bring forth a seed from Jacob and from Yehuda, an heir of my mountains. And my chosen ones shall inherit it. That's the election, Yisrael. And my servants dwell there. So we'll be dwelling in Jerusalem. And Sharon shall be a fold of flocks in the valley of Achor, a place for herds to lie down, for my people who have sought me. But you are those who forsake Yahuwah. You forget my set apart mountain, who prepare a table for Gad, or God. Okay. That's the pagan name for the Norsemen, which is a device for us. It put into modern day translations. It's a device to get you to call upon another Elohim other than the one true living Yahuwah. G-A-D, G-O-D, G-O-T-T is all the same thing. Bad news. And who fill a drink offering for Mini? Well, that's some kind of a G-O-D too. And I shall allot you to the sword and let you all bow down to the slaughter, because I called and you did not answer. So who is going to call? He's going to come sparking you, man. He's going to come courting you someday. Now he's going to call you. You don't respond or answer, you're going to be in big trouble. So keep your ears open for the day he comes courting, comes calling you. And let all of you all bow down to the slaughter, because I called and you did not answer. See that? He called and you did not answer? Why didn't you answer him? Do you want to go to Gehenna? Do you want to go to the outer darkness, to the abyss, where there's going to be weeping and gnashing of the teeth, folks? Is that where you want to go? Answer him if he calls you. I spoke and you did not hear, and you did evil before my eyes, and chose that in which I did not delight. Falsehood. He doesn't delight in falsehood. Therefore, thus said the Master Yahuwah, see my servants eat, but you hunger. See my servants drink, but you thirst. See my servants rejoice, but you are put to shame. See my servants sing for joy of heart, but you cry for sorrow of heart, and wail for breaking of spirit. And you shall leave your name as a curse to my chosen, for the Master Yahuwah shall put you to death and call his servants by another name. So that he who blesses himself in the Eretz does bless himself in the Elohim of truth. And he who swears in the Eretz does swear by the Elohim of truth. Because the former distresses shall be forgotten, and because they shall be hidden from my eyes. For look, I am creating new Shemayim and a new Eretz, and the former shall not be remembered, nor come to heart. And the former shall not be remembered, nor come to heart. So you won't grieve over it. Okay, she's not even going to remember it. He's going to give a new Shemayim and a new Eretz. So that means it's not going to be this after the restoration of the burn up earth, the old earth, in the Millennium Reign. He's going to make a new Shemayim and a new earth. And the old is not going to be remembered, nor come to heart. So apparently then all memory of the election, the ones that are going into the eternal reign, beyond the Millennium Reign into eternity, will not remember the old earth, Shemayim. More than likely, the memories of all your transgressions, sins of this carbon-copied world and all that is in it is going to be erased from our memory, and we're going to move off into eternity with a clean mind, just knowing Yahuwah. That's what it sounds like to me, man. But be glad and rejoice forever in what I create. The new stuff. But be glad and rejoice forever in what I create. All the new stuff, not the old stuff. Why would he leave? Why would he leave us to remember the old thing, the sins, the transgressions, the horror, the violence, the disobedience? Why? He's not going to. There's not be any memory of this carbon copy we're left. It's going to be erased, man. We want to be rejoicing forever. Be glad, joyful, peaceful, rejoicing forever in what I create. For look, I create Jerusalem a rejoicing and her people a joy. Just going to be happiness, man. There's not going to be any sadness and crying, violence, and all this stuff going on. It's not even going to be a memory, man. We're not going to grieve in our heart over loved ones that didn't make it. They'll be wiped out of our memory. We're not going to grieve in eternity. We're going to only be full of joy. And I shall rejoice in Jerusalem and shall joy in my people and shall joy in my people. And let the voice of weeping no more be heard in her, nor the voice of crying. See? No sadness, no crying, man. No weeping going to be there. Going to be gone. No more is an infant from there going to live but a few days. Now we're talking about the Millennium Reign back now. Now they're going back to the Millennium Reign, not eternity. 20 is millennium, okay? So no more is an infant from there going to live but a few days, nor an old man who does not complete his days. For the youth dies 100 years old. So if you lived 100 and died, you're going to be like a baby. So now we know that in the Millennium Reign is not eternity because people are going to die. They're going to be born, they're going to live, they're going to die. Okay. But they're going to live such a long time that a 100-year-old person is going to be like a baby. You're still a babe. You haven't grown up yet. But the sinner being 100 years old shall be lightly esteemed. So people are going to still be able to sin during the Millennium Reign. See that? So that's why it still has to be part of the old. It's just going to be restored. It's not going to be made new. The new Shemayim, the new earth is going to come after the Millennium Reign. You see that? That's proof of it right there. Nor an old man who does not complete his yamam, for the youth dies 100 years old, but the sinner being 100 years old shall be lightly esteemed, and they shall build houses and inhabit them and plant vineyards and eat their fruit. So you're still going to be eating and drinking. There's going to be fleshly people. Now look, those who have been part of the first resurrection will have immortality. The other ones that repopulate in the restored earth will be flesh and blood, just like we are right now. Nothing's changing as far as that goes, other than their lifespan is going to greatly increase, like back during the days like Adam and Kua, where people lived a long time. It's going to go back like that. It's going to be restored back to that, existence. Okay, 22. They shall not build and another inhabit. They shall not plant and another eat. For the yamam of my people are going to be as the yamam of a tree. And my chosen ones outlive the work of their hands. So during the Millennium Reign, he's going to have more election. He's going to be choosing people just like he is now. Even during the Millennium Reign, his people. See what I'm saying? So not a whole lot as far as that goes. That kind of stuff, lifespan is going to change, but there's still going to be sin. You can still sin. There's things that are going to remain the same. So basically, what I'm getting out of it, and I don't know if most of you probably agree, that it's going to go back to like the days when Adam and Kua first fell. It's going to be that kind of world where the people lived a long time and they were vegetarians, but they still could die. Don't forget, people were vegetarians all the way up to until the flood came. After the flood is when Yahuwah told people that they could eat flesh. Remember? So I think it's going to go back during that pre-flood time. It's what the restored earth's going to be. Why do we live lesser now than they did? Because of transgression has increased. That's why. The more the transgression increased, the more sin that came upon the earth, plus the Torah exposed sin, and we all became greater sinners because of the Torah was given for transgression. The favor and truth came through Yahusha. The Torah came through Moshe. Okay, and so since all this sin was exposed and we became greater sinners, our lifespan started dropping greatly because of our sins, our transgressions, our iniquities. Okay. So they shall not labor in vain, nor bring forth children for trouble, for they are the seed of the blessed of Yahuwah, and their offspring with them. And it shall be that before they call, I answer, and while they are still speaking, I hear. Wolf and lamb feed together. A lion eats straw as an ox, and dust is the snake's food. The snake going to eat dust. They shall do no evil, nor destroy in all my set-apart mountain, said Yahuwah. Second time we've heard that. So apparently around Jerusalem, okay, where his throne will be, ain't going to be no evil and no craziness going on around there. But there will be sin in the world. Okay. He hasn't destroyed and judged sin yet. All right. Into the last chapter here now. This is very powerful stuff, ain't it? I mean, amazing. Okay, so we're all starting to get to see what the Millennium Reign is going to be like, right? So in a nutshell, it's going to be pre-flood. It's going to be like the days of Adam and Kua, where everybody lived a long time. Okay, so let's finish up Isaiah here. Thus said Yahuwah. This is Yahuwah talking now. Listen up. The Shemayim are my throne. The Shemayim are my throne. And the Eretz is my footstool. Where is this house that you build for me? And where is this place of my rest? In other words, you can't contain him, restrain him, define him. So stop trying to do it. And all these my hands have made, and all these that exist, declares Yahuwah. Yet to such a one I look, on him who is poor and bruised of spirit, and who trembles at my word. Ain't that amazing? He owns everything. He created everything. He's everywhere. But yet he looks on one of us who is poor and bruised of ruach, bruised of spirit, and who trembles at my word, fears him. Isn't that amazing? I mean, we're like a little ant to him, but yet he sees the one that trembles at his word. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Whoever slaughters the bull slays a man. Wow. Now that's amazing. Whoever slaughters the bull slays a man. Whoever slaughters the lamb breaks a dog's neck. Whoever brings a grain offering, pig's blood. Whoever burns incense blesses an idol. Indeed, they have chosen their own ways, and their being delights in their abominations. And it kind of gives a little bit a hint of the way that Yahuwah's mind works right there. I mean, that's mind-blowing. Whoever burns incense blesses an idol, and we better stop burning that incense. That's mind-blowing to me. And did they have chosen their own ways, and their being delights in their abominations? He's calling all that an abomination. I shall also choose their punishments and bring their fears on them, because I called, but no one answered. I spoke, and they did not hear, and they did evil before my eyes and chose what was displeasing to me. Hear the word of Yahuwah, you who tremble at his word. Your brothers who hate you, who cast you out for my name's sake, said, let Yahuwah be esteemed so that we see your joy. But they are put to shame. A roaring sound from the city, a voice from the heckle, the voice of Yahuwah repaying his enemies. Before she labored, she gave birth. Before she labored, she gave birth. Before a pain came to her, she was delivered of a male child. Huh? Who has heard the like of this? Nobody. Who has seen the like of these? Is a land brought forth in one yom? Is a nation born at once? For as soon as Zion labored, she gave birth to her children. Okay, this is prophetic, man. And so what this is doing, it's telling you that this is unusual. This doesn't happen. It's never happened before, because it just doesn't happen. Okay, so a woman does before she labored, she gave birth. That never happens. Before a pain came to her, she was delivered by a male child. That never happens. So what's this speaking of spiritually? Yahusha. Okay. And who has heard like of this? Who has seen of the like of these? Nobody. In the land brought forth in one day? No. Is a nation born at once? No. For as soon as Zion labored, she gave birth to her children. That happened in 1948, folks. Israel, the fig tree blossomed. Israel, after 2,000 years, became a nation again. In 1948, this prophecy was fulfilled. We'll get back into that a little bit here in a minute. Okay. Shall I bring to birth and not give delivery, says Yahuwah? No, because he's going to bring to birth Yisrael. In 1948, he did. The son, the male that was delivered was Yahusha. And shall I give delivery? Shall I not give delivery if I bring birth? Yes, he brought birth to Yisrael, and he's going to deliver Yisrael. You see the spiritual insight? Shall I who give delivery restrain birth? Said your Elohim. Rejoice with Jerusalem and be glad with her, all you who love her. Rejoice greatly with her, all you who mourn for her, so that you feed and shall be satisfied with the breast of her comforts, so that you drink deeply and shall delight yourselves in her overflowing esteem. For thus said Yahuwah. Hi, Julian. Glad you're here. For thus said Yahuwah, see, I am extending peace to her like a river, and the esteem of the Gentiles like a flowing stream, and you shall feed. You shall be carried on the side and be fondled on her knees. As one whom his mother comforts, so I comfort you. And in Jerusalem, you are comforted in the Millennium Reign. And you shall see, and your heart shall rejoice, and your bones flourish as tender grass. And the hand of Yahuwah shall be known to his servants, and his displeasures to his enemies. For look, Yahuwah comes with fire. Isaiah 24, we read that, right? He's going to burn up the Shemayim and the earth. And with his chariots, like a whirlwind, to render his displeasure with burning. These chariots are the reapers, in my opinion. So he comes with fire, and with his reapers, They're going to reap the weeds and the tars, and Yahuwah's going to set ablaze the earth and the Shemayim. That's what this is talking about. To render his displeasure with burning and his rebuke with flames of fire. Woo! For by fire and by his sword, Yahuwah shall judge all flesh, and the slain of Yahuwah shall be many. Very few will be left, folks. The slain of Yahuwah shall be many. Those who set themselves apart and cleanse themselves in the gardens, following after one in the midst, who eat the flesh of pigs, and the abomination and the mouse are snatched away together, declares Yahuwah. Those are the weeds and the tars, folks, the pig eaters, the mice eaters, the ones that follow falsehood and abominations. They're going to be taken up all at once, snatched away. Those who set themselves apart and cleanse themselves in the gardens, following after one in the mist, Hashatan is in that mist, who eat the flesh of pigs and the abomination and the mice and the mouse are snatched away together, declares Yahuwah. So you're hanging around with Hashatan and his demons. You're eating pig and mouse. You're worshiping abominations and following after falsehoods. You're in big trouble. And I, because of their works and their imaginations, falsehood, fables, fairy tales, myths, mythology, their imaginations, their dreams, their made up garbage, and coming together all nations and tongues, and they shall come and see my esteem. And I shall set a sign among them, and shall send some of those who escape to the nations, Tarshish and Pool and Lud, who draw the bow, and Tubal and Awan, the coastlands afar off, who have not heard my report nor seen my esteem. And they shall declare my esteem among the Gentiles. And they shall bring all your brothers as an offering to Yahuwah out of all the Gentiles, on horses and in chariots and in litters, on mules and on camels, to my set apart mountain, Jerusalem, declares Yahuwah, as the children of Israel bring an offering in a clean vessel into the house of Yahuwah. And from them too I shall take for priests and Levites, declares Yahuwah. So, this is speaking of what? The second Exodus. For as the new Shemayim, here we go again now. For as the new Shemayim and the new Eretz that I make stand before me, declares Yahuwah. So your seed and your name shall stand, and it shall be that from new moon to new moon, and from Shabbat to Shabbat, all flesh shall come to worship before me, declares Yahuwah. And they shall go forth and look upon the corpses of the men who have transgressed against me, for their worm shall not die, and their fire not be quenched, and they shall be repulsive to all flesh. Now, some people might say, well, this is proof that there's a hell. And no, it's not. And it's really a hard thing to try to figure out. But the more that I read this, because it does sound weird. Now, new moon to new moon is a dark moon, right? It's not the full moon. It's the dark moon. So it'd be month to month, new month to new month, every month, in other words. Every month, and then and every Sabbath, every week, every weekly Sabbath too, for a new month to new month, and from Sabbath to the Sabbath to the Sabbath. All flesh shall come to worship before me. He's saying all flesh. That includes animals. So the animals. I think, during the Millennium Reign. Now, this is going out on a limb, okay? And this is just my opinion, of course. But I think animals are going to be given the ability to speak in the Millennium Reign. All flesh shall come to worship before me. So I think animals are going to be taught. Little children's going to lead them. I think they're going to be able to communicate. That's just my opinion. That's the way I feel for some reason. We'll find out. But this last verse is amazing. And they shall go forth and look upon the corpses of the men who have transgressed against me. Doesn't say women or children or people, just men against me, for their worm shall not die. That means the worms that are eating their body or whatever are going to feast on them for eternity. I guess that's what that means. And their fire not be quenched. So they're going to be burning all the time. Their fire not be quenched. Okay, maybe this could be an idiom for their annihilation will not be reversed. It's a possibility. It could be just idioms. And they shall be repulsive to all flesh. So be repulsive to all flesh, but where our memories are going to be taken away. So what's going on here? So I think, and this is just me now, I really don't know. But the more I was reading about this, I'm just wondering if they look upon the corpses of men who have transgressed against me. Is this the anti-Mashiach, the false prophet, and Hashatan and his armies that are all thrown into the lake of fire? Especially those three. The anti-Messiah, the false prophet, and Satan. Because Satan's going to be turned into a man. He's going to be the anti-Mashiach. Just like Yahusha was incarnated. Hashatan going to be incarnated, but he's going to be the anti-Mashiach, not the Messiah. He said he's going to be the opposite. And so he will be a man as well. So that could be that those three will always be able to be seen in their torment in the lake of fire. We'll be able to see them there, or the vision of it. It's a possibility. That's what my mind came up with anyway. Interesting, man. Dwell on that for a while. See what you come up with. All right. So let's go over to Jeremiah 16 now, verse 9. It says, "For thus said Yahuwah Sabaoth, the Elohim of Yisrael, see, before your eyes and in your days, I am making the voice of rejoicing and the voice of gladness, the voice of the bridegroom and the voice of the bride to cease in this place. And it shall be when you declare to this people all these words which they shall say to you, why has Yahuwah pronounced all this great evil against us? And what is our crookedness and what is our sin that we have committed against Yahuwah our Elohim?" So they're going to be playing dumb, I guess. What it sounds like. "Then you shall say to them, because your fathers have forsaken me, because Yahuwah, declares Yahuwah, and have walked after other mighty ones and served them and bowed themselves to them and have forsaken me and did not guard my Torah. And you have done more evil than your fathers, for look, each one walks according to the stubbornness of his own evil heart, without listening to me. So I shall throw you out of this land into a land that you do not know, neither you nor your fathers, and there you shall serve other mighty ones day and night, where I show you no favor. Therefore, see, the days are coming, declares Yahuwah, when it is no longer said, Yahuwah lives, who brought up the children of Israel from the land of Mitzrayim. But Yahuwah lives, who brought up the children of Israel from the land of the north, and from all the lands where he had driven them. This again is talking about the second Exodus now. And the land of the north is represents evil and wickedness. Okay, so that would be like pagan territory, if you will. So from the north is wickedness in the Hebrew mindset. All right. So it says, "For I shall bring them back into their land I gave to their fathers." So this is speaking of the second Exodus, which is going to happen when? At the return of Yahusha, at the first resurrection. Those are the ones that are part of the second Exodus that will be going to Jerusalem to live. Okay? This is pre-millennium reign. This happens before the millennium reign. "See, I am sending for many fishermen, declares Yahuwah, and they shall fish them. And after that I shall send for many hunters, and they shall hunt them from every mountain and every hill and out of the holes of the rocks. For my eyes are on all their ways. They have not been hidden from my face, nor has their crookedness been hidden from my eyes. And first I shall repay double for their crookedness and their sin, because they have defiled my land with the dead bodies of their disgusting things, and have filled my inheritance with their abominations. O Yahuwah, my strength and my stronghold, in my refuge, in the yam of distress, the Gentiles shall come to you from the ends of the earths and say, our fathers have inherited only falsehood, futility, and there is no value in them. Would a man make mighty ones for himself, which are not mighty ones? Therefore, see, I am causing them to know. This time I cause them to know my hand and my might, and they shall know that my name is Yahuwah. Who? Oh, the children of Israel. Okay, let's look over here at 31. Jeremiah 31. 31. Before we get into that, I'm going to point something out here real quick. This is a sign of that you're in the latter days. This is the sign that we're getting closer and closer to the end, in the beginning of the millennium reign. Look at 31:22 real quick. Till when would you turn here and there, O backsliding daughter? For Yahuwah has created what is new on the ruts, and Asha encompasses a man. Okay, so backsliding daughter is Yisrael. You has created what is new on the Eretz. It's a brand new thing. A woman encompasses a man. A woman controls a man. So this is a sign of if we're getting very close to the end of the tribulation, or we're getting close to the tribulation years. Okay, look at Isaiah 3. Keep it in mind, and go to Isaiah 3:12 now. Isaiah 3:12. So Isaiah 3:12 says, well, let's go to 10. 3:10 and through 12. Say to the righteous, it is well, for they eat the fruit of their doings. Woe to the wrong, evil, for the reward of his hand is done to him. My people, youths exert pressure on them, and women rule over them. O my people, your leaders lead you astray and swallow the way of your past. So those two is signs, okay, for us to see. That means that we're getting really close to the tribulation years. I mean, look at 12. My people, youths, exert pressure on them. that the youth of this age, of our time right now, are putting a lot of pressure on people. There's a huge increase in suicides. They're cutting themselves with razor blades. They're tattooing themselves. They're piercing themselves. They're unruly. They just don't listen to the parents anymore. They do whatever they want to do. They don't respect you. They're not appreciative of anything. They're causing a lot of pressure. It's just like it says here, youth exert pressure on them. And women rule over them. Women ruling over men is what's going on right now. A lot of women in leadership positions right now, and men are scared to death to talk back to their wife or tell their wife what to do. A lot of them have turned to be sissified to me. Where's all the real men at? Blows my mind. Well, let me talk to my wife about that. Let me ask my wife if I can do that. Huh? And then back to Jeremiah 22. Till when would you turn here and there, O backsliding daughter? That means Israel. For Yahuwah has created what is new on the Eretz, and Asha encompasses a man. Yeah, we're getting close. We're getting close to the end times, because that stuff right there is coming true. In my book, it is. All right. Let's see now. Hang on a minute. Let me get back to I lost my spot. Okay. Jeremiah 31 now. Let's get back on track. I got off track there. See, the days are coming, says Yahuwah, when I shall make a renewed covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Yehudah. Not like the covenant I made with their fathers in the day when I took them by the hand to bring them out of the land of Mitzrayim, my covenant which they broke, though I was a husband to them, declares Yahuwah. For this is the covenant I shall make with the house of Israel after these days, declares Yahuwah. I shall put my Torah in their inward parts and write it on their hearts. And I shall be their Elohim, and they shall be my people. That's coming true. And a lot of us have experienced this new covenant, if you will. And no longer shall they teach each other his neighbor and each one of his brothers, saying, Know Yahuwah, for they shall all know me, from the least of them to the greatest of them, declares Yahuwah. So the knowledge of Yahuwah will be spread across the entire world. Everybody will know him and know his name in the Millennium Reign. There will only be one Yahuwah and one name in the Millennium Reign. Everybody will know him. You won't have to go witnessing or testifying about Yahuwah to anybody. They all know him. Isn't that grand? For I shall forgive their crookedness and remember their sin no more. Wow. Thus said Yahuwah, who gives the sun for a light by day and the laws of the moon and the stars for a light by night. See, so night isn't darkness. It's just a lesser light. It ain't total darkness. It ain't darkness. It's still light. It's just lesser light. See? And the laws of the moon and the stars for a light by night. See, it's a light. It's not darkness like everybody tries to proclaim it to be. It's just a lesser light. The darkness is the abyss. It's the grave, man. Go into the lake of fire, you'll know what darkness is. Who stirs up the sea and its waves roar. Yahuwah Zabuath is his name. If these laws vanish before me, this is Yahuwah talking, declares Yahuwah, Then the seed of Israel shall also cease from being a nation before me forever. Thus said Yahuwah, if the Shemayim above could be measured and the foundations of the earth searched out beneath, I would also cast off all the seed of Israel for all that they have done, declares Yahuwah. Now, I know a lot of flat earthers love that verse because it says, in the foundations of the earth searched out beneath, that the flat earth sitting on foundations. I get it. I know it, but I don't believe that is what that's saying. But I understand where you're coming from on that. Okay, see, the Yamim are coming, declares Yahuwah, that the city shall be built for Yahuwah from the tower of canal to the corner gate. And the measuring line shall again extend straight ahead to the hill Gareb. Then it shall turn toward Goah, and all the valley of the dead bodies and of the ashes, and all the fields as far as the Wadi Kidron to the corner of the horse gate toward the east, is to be set apart to Yahuwah. It shall not be plucked up or thrown down any more forever. So the Millennium Reign, Jerusalem will be measured off. It will be reinstated. It will be still where Yahusha will be there. No evil will be there, even during the Millennium Reign. But this is where Yahuwah will live with his election, with his bride, with Israel forever. This is going to be where he's going to be forever once the Millennium Reign's over. Okay? He ain't never leaving there. That's where he's going to live forever. It shall not be plucked up or thrown down anymore forever. So this is where he's going to be, his habitation will be. Not in a place called heaven, but on the new earth in Jerusalem. And Ezekiel 48:35 tells us as much. Okay, so in Ezekiel 48, they measure the new city, okay, the new temple area, if you will, the mountain of Yahuwah. And it gives you all the dimensions and so forth and so on through the entire chapter. And then it gets down to the very last verse, verse 35, says, all around the new city, Jerusalem forever, the dwelling place of Yahuwah forever, is 18,000 cubits. And the name of the city from that day is Yahuwah is there. That's going to be the new name of Jerusalem. Yahuwah is there, or Yahuwah Shema. Yahuwah Shema. Okay? So that way, that will go out of the Millennium Reign. We will go into judgment and then into eternity, and he will be dwelling on the new earth in the new Jerusalem, and it's going to be renamed Yahuwah is there. Okay. All right. So let's go to, let's see now. Let's skip that one. Let's go to Habakkuk 2:14 says, for the earth shall be filled with the knowledge of the esteem of Yahuwah as the mayim cover the sea. So there's your confirmation. Okay. So we get confirmation out of that. Nobody's going to be witnessing or giving testimony, working the harvest or anything like that in the Millennium Reign. Everybody that's born, everybody that's living there, flesh and blood, that's repopulating, will know about Yahuwah. And all the bride, the Israel, the election, will be be out there as acting as kings and priests and teaching them about the knowledge of Yahuwah. And they'll all be coming to Jerusalem to be taught by Yahuwah himself as well. Okay. All right. So Let's take a look over here. Zechariah 2 and 3. Zechariah 2 and 3. And I lifted up my eyes and looked, and I saw a man with a measuring line in his hand. And I said, where are you going? And he said to me, to measure Jerusalem, to see what it is its width and what is its length. And see, the messenger who was speaking to me was going out, and another messenger was coming out to meet him. And he said to him, run, speak to this young man, saying, Jerusalem is to remain unwalled because of the many men and livestock in it. For I myself am to her, declares Yahuwah, a wall of fire all around, and for esteem I am in her midst. And flee from the land of the north, declares Yahuwah. Remember, the north is wickedness or evil in the Hebrew mind. For I have scattered you like the four winds of the Shemayim, declares Yahuwah. O Zion, escape, you who dwell with the daughter of Babel. Dwell with the daughter of Babel? Who's the daughter of Babel? Probably the whore riding the base, maybe, huh? And for those said Yahuwah Zabueth, and thus said Yahuwah Zabueth, for the sake of esteem he sent me to the nations which plunder you. For he who touches you touches the treasure of my eye. For look, I am waving my hand against them, and they shall become spoil for their servants. And you shall know that Yahuwah Zaboeth has sent me. Sing and rejoice, daughter of Zion, for look, I am coming and shall dwell in your midst, declares Yahuwah. Second coming of Yahusha. This shows you that Yahusha is Yahuwah, incarnated, man. And many nations shall be joined to Yahuwah in that day, and they shall become my people, and I shall dwell in your midst. And you shall know that Yahuwah Zabuth has sent me to you, and Yahuwah shall inherit Yehudah, his portion in the set apart land. And he shall again choose Jerusalem. Hush, all flesh, before Yahuwah, for he has roused himself out of his set apart dwelling. Yahuwah is coming down, man, from his throne in the Shemayim to be in the midst of humanity. To dwell here on the new earth with us in the restored earth during the Millennium Reign. Wow. Yeah, that's amazing. Okay, let's look at 3. And he showed me Yahusha the high priest standing before the messenger of Yahuwah, and Satan standing at his right hand to be an adversary to him. And Yahuwah said to Satan, Yahuwah rebuke you, Satan. Yahuwah, who has chosen Jerusalem, rebuke you. Is this not a brand plucked from the fire? Kind of giving old Satan some prophecy about his eternal destination there, isn't he? And Yahusha was dressed in filthy garments and was standing before the messenger. And he answered and spoke to those who stood before him, saying, remove the filthy garments from him. And to him he said, see, I have removed your guilt from you, and shall put costly robes on you, immortality. And I said, let them put a clean turban on his head. Then they put a clean turban on his head, and they put garments on him, and the messenger of Yahuwah stood by. And the messenger of Yahuwah witnessed to Yahusha, saying, thus said Yahusha Zabuth, if you walk in my ways, and if you guard my charge, then you shall also rule my house, and also guard my courts. And I shall give you access among these standing here. Now listen, Yahusha the high priest. So the garments that they took the filthy garments on and put the turban on, and the clean garments and the clean turban was the the outfit of the high priest. And who sit before you, and they are men of sin. And I shall give you access among these stand here. Now listen, Yahusha the high priest, you and your companions who sit before you, for they are men of symbol. I think these would be the 12. For look, I am bringing forth my servant, the branch. That's Yahusha. See the stone which I have put before Yahusha. On one stone are 7 eyes. See, I am engraving its inscription, declares Yahuwah Sabaoth, and I shall remove the guilt of that land in one day. And in the Yom, declares Yahuwah Sabaoth, you shall invite one another under the vine and under the fig tree. Okay, this is describing the Millennium Reign. The Hebrew mindset, that's the Millennium Reign. You shall invite one another under the vine and under the fig tree. So there will be rest and joy in the Millennium Reign. There you go. And be ruled by the high priest Yahusha. He will be our king and high priest in the Millennium Reign. And this is all happening in Israel, in Jerusalem. You invite one another in the vine and under the fig tree. Fig tree is Israel. It's Israel, always has been. And vine too. I am the vine, you are the branches. All right, so Yahusha, the head, and his body, Israel, under the fig tree, which is Israel. Okay, so wow, that's heavy duty stuff, man. Okay, so this is a description of the reign of King Yahusha, who is also our high priest, with his people, with Israel, in the Millennium Reign. Okay, Psalms 46 also describes the Millennium Reign. And it says, Elohim is our refuge and strength, a help in distress soon found. Therefore we do not fear, though the Eretz reels and mountains topple into the heart of the Yamam, or the seas. Let its waters rage, or mayhem rage, foam. Let mountains shake with its swelling. Salah. A river whose streams make glad the city of Elohim, the Kadesh dwelling of the Most High. Elohim is in her midst. She does not topple. Elohim does help her when morning turns. The nation shall rage, rain shall topple. He shall blast his voice, the Eretz melts. Okay, so this is the day of Yahuwah. Yahuwah Sabaoth is with us. The Elohim of Jacob is our refuge. Salah. Come, see the works of Yahuwah. The ruins he was wrought on the Eretz, causing all fighting to cease. To the ends of the Eretz, he breaks the bow and shatters the spear. He burns the chariot with fire. Be still and know that I am Elohim. So there will be peace. There will be no battling, no wars, nothing like that. I am exalted among nations. I am exalted in the Eretz. Yahuwah Sabaoth is with us. The Elohim of Yaqub is our refuge. Selah. So he's going to be living with us during the Millennium Reign. Who? Yahuwah Sabaoth is with us. You see that? He's everything. He's our all in all, man. There's not 2 or 3 Elohims making up one. There's just one. He's one, Yahuwah, that makes up everything. He is everything. Ain't no 2 or 3 anything making him. It's him creating and sustaining everything. That's what's going on. All righty. Now let's look here. Okay. Yeah. Let's go ahead and look at Luke. Luke 4:16 or 15 actually. Luke 4:15 through 19. And he was teaching in their congregations, being praised by all. And he came to Nazareth where he had been brought up, and according to his practice, he went into the congregation on the Yom Shabbat and stood up to read. So here's proof that we're allowed to study on Yom Shabbat. It was the practice of Yahuwah to do so. And it was the habit of Paul to do so as well, to teach going to the congregations on Yom Shabbat. And the scroll of the prophet Yeshayahu was handed to him, and heaven unrolled the scroll. He found the place where it was written, "The Ruach of Yahuwah is upon me, because he has anointed me," Aleph Tau, "to bring the Basora to the poor. To bring the Basora to the poor, he has sent me to heal the brokenhearted, to proclaim release to the captives and recover the sight of the blind, to send away crushed ones with a release, to proclaim the acceptable year of Yahuwah." Acceptable year of Yahuwah. And having rolled up the scroll, he gave it back to the attendant and sat down. We just read that in Isaiah. And the eyes of all in the congregation were fixed upon him. And he began to say to them, "Today, this scripture has been concluded in your hearing." So we just read that. It was in Isaiah 61:1. And all were bearing witness to him and marveled at the pleasant words that came out of his mouth. And they said, "Is this not the son of Joseph?" Okay. So he's saying that the prophecy was in Isaiah 61, and this is the fulfillment of that. Okay. So he fulfilled that prophecy. And Matthew 22:29 through 33 says, "And Yahusha answering said to them, You go astray, not knowing the writings nor the power of Elohim. For in the resurrection they do not marry, nor are they giving in marriage, but are as messengers of Elohim in heaven. And concerning the resurrection of the dead, have you not read what was spoken to you by Elohim, saying, I am the Elohim of Abraham, and the Elohim of Yishak, and the Elohim of Yaakov. Elohim is not the Elohim of the dead, but of the living." Okay, so here we find out that the first resurrection group are going to be immortal during the Millennium Reign. Okay, and they're not going to be marrying and carrying on and working jobs and doing like we're doing now, or like the flesh and blood people during the restored earth, during the Millennium Reign of Yahusha. We're going to be like messengers, which means we're going to be immortals, and we're going to be married to Yahusha, not to an opposite sex person like we are now. Although that's a shadow of what it's going to be like, is between a man and a woman, is a shadow of what the Millennium Reign is going to be like, and we're going to be married to Yahusha. We're going to be one with Yahuwah, man. That's what we're going to be. So very interesting. And he's the Elohim of the living, not the dead. Okay, so we're going to be living in Yahuwah's mindset, and the way he thinks, we're going to be living for eternity. When he says, where you're living, you have life, you have eternal life. If you're the walking dead, whether you're alive or you're in the grave, you're dead to him if you're not delivered, if you're not his. See what I'm saying? So just that he's the Elohim of the living, the ones that are going to be partaking in eternal life beyond the Millennium Reign. Okay, so that kind of shows us what's going on there, that we're not going to be like we are now. We're going to be different. We're going to have immortal bodies. We're not going to be getting married. We're not going to be doing anything except servants of Yahuwah. That's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be kings and priests to Yahuwah. All right. And we're going to be immortal in the millennium reign and off into eternity. Okay. So let's get a look at Revelations 20 now. This may be, as you can see, I mean, I'm skipping over a lot. All right. So as I said in the beginning, this isn't just a small affair, Millennium Reign. This is a large affair. This is huge. This is the most spoke about prophecy in all the scriptures, is the Millennium Reign. We're skipping a lot. But I think we're all starting to understand now what it's going to be like in the Millennium Reign and the importance of it. Okay, so maybe perhaps the most fulfilled, I'd say, prophecy, or the most talked about the Millennium Reign is in Revelations 20. And it about goes through like 1 through 10. Revelations 20, 1 through 10. Big time about the Millennium Reign here. But before we go there, let's look at 19 here, right next door to it. Revelations 19, 11 through 21. It says, worship Yahuwah, for the witness of Yahusha is the Ruach of prophecy. And I saw the heaven open, and there was a white horse, and he who sat on him was called trustworthy and true. And in uprightness he judges and fights. Okay, now there is only one lawgiver and one judge who can save and destroy, and that's Yahuwah. So here we find out that this is speaking of Yahusha's second coming, the return of the king, return of Yahusha, second coming. Okay, he's on a white horse. So this happens before the Millennium Reign. Okay, this is before, right before. Matter of fact, I think it only lasts one day. I think that's why it's called the Day of Yahuwah, because it's a one-day event. You know, it only lasts one day and it's over, and here comes the Millennium Reign. That's why it's called the Day of Yahuwah. Okay, and it's after the wrath of Yahuwah, when the 7 bowls are poured out, or the 7 vials are poured out on the army of the anti-Mashiach, when he cuts short the wrath of Hashatan. See? Okay, so anyway, and I saw the heaven open, and there was a white horse, and he who sat on him was called trustworthy and true, and in uprightness he judges and fights. And his eyes were as the flame of fire, and on his head were many crowns. It means he had many positions, he was authority over everything, holds authority over everything. Having a name that has been written, which no one has perceived except him. And having been dressed in a robe dipped in blood, and his name is called the Word of Yahuwah. So now we know that this is the second coming of Yahusha. For sure, that confirms it. And the armies in the heaven, dressed in fine linen, white and clean, followed him on white horses. These are Malachim, following him on white horses. And out of his mouth goes a sharp sword, that with it he should smite the nations, and he shall shepherd them with a rod of iron. And he treads the winepress of the fierceness and the wrath of Al Shaddai. There you go, he's Al Shaddai. And on his robe and on his thigh he has a name written: Sovereign of Sovereigns and Master of Masters. So we're sovereigns and priests to Yahuwah, and he is the sovereign of the sovereigns, and the master of the masters, or the high priest of the priests. Okay, he's who we answer to. Even the bride answers to him. So I'm saying we're kings and priests, but we answer to the King of Kings and the High Priest, okay, which is Yahusha or Yahuwah. And I saw one messenger standing in the sun, and he cried with a loud voice, saying to all the birds that fly in midday, come and gather together for the supper of the great Yahuwah. Lost my place. Oh. To eat the flesh of sovereigns and the flesh of commanders and the flesh of strong ones and the flesh of horses and of those who sit on them and the flesh of all people, free and slave, both small and great. So this is kind of talking about what happens at the return of Yahusha, at his second coming down to the Mount of Olives. Okay, so this is before the Millennium Reign. And I saw the Behemoth and the sovereigns of the Arets and their armies gathered together to fight him who sat on the horse and his army. So the anti-Messiah is, and his armies are coming together to fight Yahusha and his army at his second coming to Jerusalem. And the Behemoth was seized. The beast was seized, and with him the false prophet who worked signs in his presence. So the false prophet is the one who's going to be doing the signs in the presence of the beast, right? By which he led astray those who received the mark of the beast and those who worshiped his image. The two were thrown alive into the lake of fire, burning with sulfur. So they're thrown alive in there. And they're these two are the very first ones to enter the lake of fire. And this is before the Millennium Reign still. And the rest were killed with the sword which came from the mouth of him who sat on the horse, and all the birds were filled with their flesh. So amazingly, he killed the rest of the sword that came from his mouth. So obviously it was a word of destruction. He spoke it and they died. You know, maybe he took his breath away. You know, who knows? Maybe he called his breath back to them and they all dropped dead. Who knows? I guess we'll find out at the time. Somebody will, the ones that are alive at his second coming will find out. Okay, so this is prior to. So we know then that the beast and the false prophet and the ones that received the mark and worshiped his image will be gone. They will not be with us in the Millennium Reign. They were thrown into the lake of fire, and the other ones were he just spoke and they dropped dead, and the birds ate them, ate their flesh. Okay, so they ain't going into the Millennium Reign. They will not be there. Neither was Satan. Okay, so we know that much now. And now let's look at Revelations 20, which is probably 1 through 10. It's probably the greatest symbol about the Millennium Reign. Gives us the most facts or information about it. Let's look at it. Revelations 20, 1 through 10. And I saw a messenger coming down from the heaven, having the key to the pit of the deep and a great chain in his hand. And he seized the dragon, the serpent of old, who is the devil and Ha-Shatan, and bound him for 1,000 years. So bam, right there we know that the dragon was not thrown into the lake of fire, but bound in the abyss for 1,000 years. He's in the outer darkness. He's in the abyss for 1,000 years. Okay. And he threw him into the pit of the deep and shut him up and set a seal on him, so that he should lead the nations no more astray until the 1,000 years were ended. So there won't be no adversary. There won't be any demons. There ain't going to be nothing during the millennium reign that can come and tempt you into being evil or following, after the devil, the father of lies. So all that temptation, all that pressure is going to be taken away. So those who sin during the millennium reign will be doing it on their own account. On their own account. They can't say, well, the devil made me do it. No. The devil didn't make you do nothing. You did that on your own account. This is the reign of Yahuwah. See that? So they're in big trouble because they ain't got no excuse. That's going to be on their own head, man. On their own account, they sin in the millennium reign. Devil won't be there. The beast won't be there. The government of men and of the devil will not be there. The false prophet, religion, falsehood will not be there. Okay. And it's going to be similar to Adam and Kua's time, but without the devil and the demons and wicked influence. Doctrine of demons and all that religious mumble jumble will be gone. So the people that sin, it's on their own head. They're doing it in their own accord, and they will sin. There will be sinners. Believe that or not, they will be. And at the end of the millennium reign, those sinners, when Satan's cut loose, is going to join with Satan as an army, and the army is going to be so big, like the sands of the sea, that nobody can count. No man can count the size of this army that's going to side back with Satan when he's released at the end of the millennium reign. Is that mind-blowing? That blows my mind. How somebody could sin and go against Yahuwah when he's here living with us and the world is near perfect. No wars, no carnivores, no nothing. But yet they sin on their own and side with Satan and run to the father of lies as soon as he's released. They want to be with him, not with Yahuwah. Yeah. Chew on that for a while. And after that, he has to be released. So let's back up. And he threw them into the pit of the deep and shut him up and seal on him so they should not lead the nations no more astray until the 1,000 years were ended. And after that, he has to be released for a little while. This is called the micro age. So who began calling it the micro age? Me. I take the blame for that one. But I call it the micro age. So Satan will be released for a little while. Now, there's those out there who do believe that we are in the micro age right now because of all the buildings and architectural things and bridges and castles, so forth and so on, pyramids and whatever, that we don't have the technology to build with all the machinery we have. Where did it all come from? Where did all the undercover power plants come from? Things like this. It's like, oh, wait a minute now. Satan's already been released, and now we're back we're in the micro age, living under Hashatan. Well, I don't think that, and I don't think it's just there. I don't think that doctrine can be substantiated because there's too much prophecy that has not been fulfilled, as far as I'm concerned. Okay, so anyhow, I don't want to get off on a tangent, but I call that the micro age when Satan's released for a little while after the millennium reign. I don't think it's going to be long at all. But you got to remember that during this 1,000-year millennium reign under the reign of Yahuwah, what's going to be built? What are we going to do for power? What are we going to do for, to get around, transportation, communication, things like that? It's going to be amazing to see what Yahuwah does, because everything's going to be destroyed. So what's he going to replace or fill that void with? It's going to be an amazing time, folks, to see the power of Yahuwah and the knowledge of Yahuwah and science of Yahuwah, doing all these things for us and for the people who inhabit the Eretz for that 1,000 years. Are we all going to just be laying around like beach bums? Is he going to make the climate perfect inhabitant for people like the garden was, perhaps? And we're all going to be just laying around being lazy beach bums for 1,000 years? I don't think so. I think he's going to create a civilization on the planet and show us amazing technology and things that we never even dreamed of. Myself, I might be wrong, but that's my opinion. Okay, let's keep on going. And I saw thrones, and they that sat on them, and judgment was given to them. And the lives of those who had been beheaded because of the witness they bore to Yahusha, and because of the word of Yahuwah, and who did not worship the behemoth, the beast, nor his image, and did not receive his mark upon their foreheads or upon their hands. And they lived and reigned with Mashiach for 1,000 years. Okay, so who is that talking about? There's your first resurrection group. There's your immortals, the bride, Israel. Read again. And I saw thrones, and they that sat on them, and judgment was given to them. So we're going to judge. And the lives of those who had been beheaded because of the witness they bore to Yahusha, and because of the word of Yahuwah. That's what Revelations 12:17 says about the Natsarim. All right? They're going to guard the word of Yahuwah, which is the 10 Debarim, and all his other laws, and hold to the testimony of Yahusha HaMashiach. And that's what these witnesses are doing. They bore to Yahusha. They bore witness to Yahusha and the word of Yahuwah. And who did not worship the beast, they didn't worship the beast during the tribulation years, nor his image, and did not receive the mark upon their foreheads or upon their hands. So they had nothing to do with the beast and his system of control and their identification process, whatever it is. And they lived and reigned with Mashiach for 1,000 years. So these were the ones that were given immortality to reign for that 1,000-year millennium reign with Yahusha. This is his bride. And the rest of the dead did not come to life until the 1,000 years were ended. This is the first resurrection. Okay. So there you go. We just learned a whole lot. So the ones that have nothing to do with the beast, the behemoth, and took no marks, made no vows, did no service to the beast, were clean and remained clean, didn't touch anything unclean during the tribulation period, okay? Lived and reigned with Mashiach for 1,000 years. So the ones that are fell asleep or are dead in Mashiach has been resurrected now. The ones that were still alive and had the real Hakadesh in them and had become the bride or the election, the chosen ones, together, the ones who fell asleep and were woke up and given immortality along with those who were alive at his coming, at his second coming, together were caught up with him in the clouds as he ascended upon the Mount of Olives, and they lived with him and reigned with him for 1,000 years during that millennium reign. So in other words, they were given immortality. They were given their immortal bodies in the blink of an eyelid. Their bodies were raised up, and the ones that were still in the flesh and blood and flesh and blood bodies were transformed into given their mortal bodies, and they were immortal. living and reigning with the Mashiach for 1,000 years. The rest of the dead did not come to life until the 1,000 years were ended. So there's two resurrections. It's clear. The first resurrection will receive immortality. The second resurrection will not until they're judged according to their words and to their works. This is the first resurrection. That's it. This is not a rapture. Rapture is a dream. It's a made-up fable. Okay, this is a resurrection from the dead. And those who are alive will be changed in the blink of an eyelid and given immortality, same as the ones that were raised from the dead, given immortality. And they will live with him and reign with him as king and priests for 1,000 years. The rest of the dead will not. Okay, so it's just going to be a remnant. The first resurrection group will be a remnant. Okay. It could be the 144,000, which in my opinion, it is. I know some people got different opinions of that, and that's okay. You don't have to agree with me with everything. But I think it's 144,000 people takes part in the first resurrection. That's my opinion. Second resurrection, there's going to be a great white throne judgment, and he's going to judge, and then he's going to divide. If you're going to put the sheep on his right hand, which will be given immortality, and the goats will go on his left side, and they will be thrown into the lake of fire and annihilated. All those who have lived before. If you're a sheep and you go on his right hand, you're going to receive an immortal body. You'll be in eternity with the bride and Yahuwah and his bride. You will not be the bride, but you will have eternity, immortality. You will be at service of Yahuwah and his bride. Okay, this is the first resurrection, and maybe not. But during the Millennium Reign, for sure, the flesh and blood people are repopulating the earth will be servants of Yahuwah and his bride, for sure. We read that, right? Okay, so then let's go ahead and go now. It says at 6, it says, blessed and set apart is the one having part in the first resurrection. The second death possesses no authority over these. The second death, the lake of fire, judgment. The second death possesses no authority over these, but they shall be priests of Yahuwah and of Mashiach, and shall reign with him 1,000 years. So there's more confirmation of that. The first resurrection is the bride, and they will be priests of Yahuwah and Mashiach, and reign with him for 1,000 years in their immortal bodies. The proof of that is simply the second death possesses no authority over these. So you can't die in the second death if you're already been given immortality, right? And when the 1,000 years have ended, Ha-Shatan shall be released from his prison, from the abyss, or the pit, if you will, and he shall go out to lead the nations astray, which are in the four corners of the Arats. Now, not even the flat earthers believe that the earth is a square. Okay. They don't even believe that. So this four corners doesn't prove that the earth is a flat square. This is just an idiom or figure of speech expressing that from all directions, everywhere that the humans are. Okay. This is what that means. Okay. So all the inhabitants of the new earth, or the restored earth. Okay. And he shall go out to lead the nations astray, which are in the four corners of the Arats. Gog and Magog again. He's repeating now. To gather them together for battle, whose number is as the sea, sand of the sea. So see, there you go. So the army that he gathers when he's released, talking about Satan now, He's going to go to Gog and Magog again. So apparently he's been sitting in locked up and shackled in the abyss for 1,000 years, and all he was thinking about was he wasn't thinking about, oh, well, maybe I can go to Yahuwah and forgive and beg his forgiveness, and I can get out of all this. Nah, he was sitting there going, man, I blew it the first time. I blew it when I had Gog and Magog and all the nations of the world, and I attacked Yahusha and his army. I blew it. I should have did this. I should have did that. And all he could think about was to get released so he could go back and try it again and do it right this time. Obviously, because as soon as he's released, he goes and gathers an army of the sinners, of the ones that are rejecting Yahusha's being under the reign of Yahusha during the Millennium Reign. They don't like peace, love, and joy. They like hatred, war, and misery. You know? And so he gathers them. There's so many of them. It's mind-blowing. Whose number is as the sand of the sea, and gathered them for battle against Yahuwah again, against Yahusha and his bride. Unbelievable, man. I mean, think about that. That's just mind-blowing stuff, really. And they came up over the breadth of the Eretz, up over the horizon, and surrounded the camp of the Kadeshim and the beloved city. Well, this is Jerusalem. And fire came down from Yahuwah out of the heaven and consumed them. Okay. So this here now is after the Millennium Reign. All this happens after the Millennium Reign. So as soon as the 1,000 years is over, Satan's released. He gathers an army, as the sands of the sea, attacks, tries to do it again. And Yahuwah says, you got to be kidding me. And fire comes down from Yahuwah out of the heaven and consumes them. Is Yahuwah still in the Shemayim, even though he's in Jerusalem living with his beloved? Yeah, he doesn't have to leave one place to go to another. He's there already. And the devil who led them astray was thrown into the lake of fire and sulfur where the behemoth, the beast, and the false prophet are. And they shall be tortured day and night forever and ever. Okay, so there you go. Okay, so now we know that after the Millennium Reign, there's going to be rebellion. There's going to be people who are not happy living a peaceful and joyful life. Okay, they're in misery, and they can't wait for the Satan to come back on the scene so they can go side with Satan and make the world back the way it was. They want to live the way we're living now. Okay, they like the way things are now, and these people also are going to wish they were living in these days to where they could battle, have wars, and kill people, and steal, and murder, and rape, and do all kinds of evil stuffs. Worship Satan, worship idols. They like it. They're not happy living under the peace and joy and reign of Yahusha. So they jump onto the side of the devil as soon as the 1,000-year millennium reign's over. So now these people are going to be destroyed. Okay, and the devil who led them astray was thrown into the lake of fire, and they shall be tortured day and night forever and ever, along with the anti-Mashiach and the false prophet. The fire came down from Yahuwah out of the heaven and consumed them. Those were the rebellious ones. Those were the ones that formed the army that was greater than the sands of the sea. So what happens to them? Are they raised back up for the great white throne? I say yes, they are. I say yes, they are. Everybody. During this time, the first 6,000 years, and during the bonus round, the next 1,000 years, Millennium Reign under Yahusha, Even the ones that die during the millennium reign will be raised back up to the white throne. The ones that are in the first resurrection, they were judged while they were walking in the dust. See, so they were already judged and found clean, found virgins, and he married them. Well, that's his bride. Okay, the second resurrection isn't going to have any bride. Okay, so even the ones that died or still lived through the entire millennium reign has to be judged. The only ones that don't's the bride, the first resurrection group, because they've already been judged and they were declared righteous. And so they've already inherited eternal life. So they don't have to go to the white throne and be judged. They've already been judged. You know what I'm saying? But the rest, all the rest will have to be resurrected if they've died, or if they're still alive, they will stand in front of the white throne. So Revelations 20, 11 to the end of that chapter talks about the white throne judgment, okay, after the millennium reign. And then after the devil has been released and thrown into the lake of fire and his army consumed by fire. So then it goes into the great white throne judgment. And if you go down to the end of the chapter, it says, and the death and the grave were thrown into the lake of fire. This is the second death. Okay, and if anyone was not found written in the scroll of life, he was thrown into the lake of fire. So all of them, you know, and the grave gave up the dead. They were judged, each one according to his works. Okay, the dead were judged from what was written in the scrolls according to their works. All of them, small and great, standing before the throne. Scrolls were open. Okay, so there you go. They all have to face the white throne judgment, except for the first resurrection group. And this all happens after the millennium reign. So the ones that lived through the millennium reign, okay, and died or lived will stand in front of the white throne judgment. They will be judged either a sheep or a goat. And then 21, it goes on and talks about the new earth and the new heaven and the new Jerusalem. It goes on and tells you about all that. And then it also talks about the bride and the new city, not made with hands. You know, the bride. The bride is described as a city coming down from the Shemayim by Yahuwah. So that we know now then that eternity will be on the new earth, not in a place called heaven. Okay, and it's going to be after the millennium reign, after the white throne judgment, and after the new heaven and new earth. So the new heaven and new earth comes after the white throne judgment, which means all those judged as a goat and sinners and wicked, okay, they're not chosen, they're going to be thrown into the lake of fire, will never see the new city. The new city comes after the judgment. Okay, although many of them will have lived under the reign of Yahusha, they have not seen the new city, where there's going to be the eternal dwelling place of Yahuwah and his bride. All those that were judged to be sheep will be with us, but they will not be the bride. Okay, and so that brings us up to Revelations 22. So let's read Revelations 22 real quick. And this, let me see over here if I can block this guy out. Yeah, you go. Okay. Revelations 22. Remember I told you we're going to get back to this falsehood thing? Okay, here it comes. Okay, so there we go. Revelations 22 now. And he showed me a river of water of life, clear as crystal, coming from the throne of Yahuwah and of the Lamb. In the middle of its street and on either side of the river was the tree of life, which bore 12 fruits, each tree yielding its fruit each moon. And the leaves of the tree were for the healing of the nations. And no longer shall there be any curse, and the throne of Yahuwah and of the Lamb shall be in it, and his servants shall serve him. So here you see there's only one throne, the throne of Yahuwah and of the Lamb. They're the same person. So they have the same throne. They sit on the one throne. The one, Yahuwah sits on the one throne. He's also the Lamb because he's our deliverer. You seeing it? And they shall see his face, and his name shall be in their foreheads. Shall be in their foreheads, not on, but in. Everyone will know his name, is what I'm thinking. They won't be calling him by devices, or substitute names or anything like that. They definitely ain't going to be calling him the J-Man. And night shall be no more, interesting, and they shall have no need of a lamp or the lamp light of the sun, because Yahuwah shall give them light, and they shall reign forever and ever. And he said to me, these words are trustworthy and true, and Yahuwah of the set apart prophets has set his messenger to show his servants what has to take place with speed. See, I'm coming speedily. Blessed is he who guards the words of the prophecy of this book. And I, Yahuchanan, saw and heard these things. And when I heard and saw, I fell down to worship before the feet of the messenger who showed me these things. And he said to me, see, do not, for I am your fellow servant and of your brothers, the prophets, and of those who are guarding the words of this book. Worship Yahuwah. And he said to me, do not seal the words of the prophecy of this book, because the time is near. Now, this is fascinating, because here they're telling Yahuchanan, do not seal the words of the prophecy of this book, because the time is near. Okay, and if we compare that over here to Daniel 12:4, go to Daniel 12:4. It says, Daniel 12:4 says, but you, Daniel, hide the words and seal the book until the time of the end. Okay, so Daniel, hide the words and seal the book till the time of end. Many shall diligently search, and knowledge shall increase. Knowledge of what? A science? No. The knowledge of the truth is what this is talking about. So many shall diligently search, and knowledge shall increase. The knowledge of the scriptures of truth, the knowledge of Yahuwah will increase. People will begin to understand in the last days, the end of the last days, what his name is and who he is. They will start to begin to understand the scriptures of truth. The knowledge shall increase of the understanding of the knowledge of Yahuwah. His parables, his prophecies, his secret prophecies will be revealed. The knowledge of Yahuwah will increase. But amazingly, it says, hide the words and seal the book until the time of the end. Are we in the time of the end? Are we in the end of the latter days? Well, if we go over back to Revelations 22:10, it suggests we are, because it says, and he said to me, do not seal the words of the prophecy of this book, because the time is near. So here Daniel's told to seal them till the end, until the end of the days. And now this is saying, do not seal it, because they're here. We are near the end, folks. There was only 6,000 years allocated to man, okay, to reign over his creation. And it's almost done. There's proof of that in Scripture. So then it goes on and says, he who does wrong, let him do wrong, more wrong. He who is filthy, let him be more filthy. Who is righteous, let him be more righteous. And who is set apart, let him be more set apart. Why? Why is that? Because it's the time is near. Apparently, they're choosing to be that way, just like the ones in the Millennium Reign are going to choose to be a sinner. They're not going to be under influence of anybody. They're going to be a sinner on their own account because they want to be. So here, these people who want to be filthy, they want to be wrong, they want, let them do it. But he who is righteous, and let him be more righteous, and he who is set apart, let him be more set apart, because this is what you want. This is what you're choosing, so be the best you can be at it. Be perfect in Yahuwah, man. Be perfect in his love and his righteousness. Be obedient as perfect as you can, because this is what you're choosing to be. So be the best you can be. If you're choosing to be filthy and wrong and evil, then be the best you can at being evil. Yahuwah hates people in the middle. He doesn't like people that are undecided, can't make a decision. He'd rather you be all the way wrong and evil and wicked, or all the way righteous and obedient and good, than to sit in the middle and play back and forth, hang out with the sinners, then go and hang out with the righteous, be a spy on their camp, go spy on them. Now, I'm not taking chance. I'm not making a choice between anybody. I'm sitting on the fence. I'm not going to battle. I'm not fighting for the wicked, and I'm not fighting for Yahuwah. I'm just going to sit here and watch and see what happens. Well, guess what? You are in big trouble. Big trouble. Okay? And I see I am coming speedily, and my reward is with me, which is immortality, to give to each according to his work. Annihilation or immortality. There's only two choices. You can't play around in the middle ground. There's no neutral ground here. You have to fight for one side or the other. Make your choice. I am the leaf and the tall, the beginning and the end, the first and the last. Blessed are those doing his commands, so that the authority shall be theirs to the tree of life, and to enter through the gates into the city. Who? Who gets the authority to go to eat off the tree of life? Those who are obeying the commands of Yahuwah, the 10 commandments, the 10 to borrow. It's clear. But outside are the dogs and those who enchant with drugs, and those who whore, and the murderers, and the idolaters, and all who love and do falsehood, 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 falsehood. That word falsehood is huge. What's falsehood? Falsehood is basically the absence of truth or accuracy, or the practice of lying, being a professional liar. Are there professional liars? You better believe it. Yeah, absolutely are. They're untrue. They speak untruths. Matter of fact, most of them are malicious liars. They tell malicious lies, myths. They mislead you with myths, fables, fairy tales. These things are what causes others to be led astray because they believe their lies. Their father's the father of lies. So falsehood is what stops us or someone from being delivered. And all who love and do falsehood. That's amazing. Let's look at 2 Thessalonians 2:10. Look at 2 Thessalonians 2:10. 2 Thessalonians 2:10 says, and with all deceit, let's back up to 9. The appearing of the lawless one is by means of the working of Satan, of the devil. The appearing of the lawless one is by the means of the working of Satan. So I think it's the possession of Satan in this person, whether it's the anti-Messiah or the false prophet, whatever you think it is, don't really matter. But the appearing of the lawless one means you're going to be able to see him. Anything that appears means you can see it. Of the lawless one is by means of the working of Satan. So probably demon possession, but the demon this time is the king of the demons, the head of the demons, the devil, Satan, with all power and signs and wonders of falsehood. See that? Wonders of falsehood. And with all deceit of unrighteousness in those perishing, because they did not receive the love of the truth in order for them to be delivered. There you go. So the ones that receive they didn't receive a love for the truth in order for them to be delivered. And for this reason, Yahuwah sends them a working of delusion for them to believe the falsehood, in order that all should be judged who did not believe the truth, but have delighted in lawlessness. Sin is lawlessness. Okay, so there you go, man. I mean, it's pretty plain. Okay, that not loving the truth, but delighting in falsehood, okay, who love and do falsehood is going to perish. They're going to perish into the lake of fire. What does all this falsehood include? Fairy tales, fables, mythology, myths, fantasies, such as Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny. There's a list a mile long of things that people take delight in, and none of them are truth. And so they will perish because they didn't have a love for the truth. They're going to perish. They will not be delivered. They will be judged unrighteous. So falsehood is huge. So we have to get rid of idolatry, the holidays, anything that's not told, we're not told to do it by Yahuwah is a big risk. Bringing detestable things into your house, having statues in your house or outside of your house, or even going to a circus that has statues outside of it. The sun steeple on top of the entranceway, an indoor altar, using false names is in jeopardy as well. By calling on the J-Man, using, throwing around other names of false mighty ones in your everyday lifestyle is risky. Because why? It's falsehood. It falls under the category of falsehood. Very risky. Now look at 22:17. Very interesting, really. It says in 17, it says, and the Ruach, which is the Ruach HaKodesh, it's Yahusha, Yahusha's spirit, okay? It's Yahuwah, all the same thing. And the Ruach in the bride say, come. So here now, after everything, we see here now that this must be during the Millennium Reign that the Ruach and the bride say, come. Okay, come back to Yahuwah, return to Yahuwah, come be part of us, come to our side, fight for us, be one of us. And here, the statement in the Ruach and the bride is evidence that the Ruach and the bride have become one in matrimony. They're one now. They're speaking as one. So they're existing as one, they're living as one, they're speaking as one. He has become one with his bride. The Ruach and the bride say, come. So now they're together. They're a single force. Okay. And so we have become, the bride has become the body of Yahuwah. And the body and the Ruach are one now. He has a body, and his body is us in eternity. It is now. We're the body now. But in reality, in eternity, we will be his one body. And he is one, all in all. We're with him. We're one with him. We are him. You know, it's just like our being, our inner man, our spirit, and our body are one. They're not separate. Our spirit, our inner man isn't separated from our body. We're the same. Same in the eternal reign. The Ruach and the bride, which is his body, are going to be one. See it? 17 proves that. Because now they're acting as one, for sure. The Ruach and the bride say, come. All right? So that's pretty much a wrap on that. Now, I would like to mention one other thing. And that is there proof, any type of proof now that that we're really, really close to the end of the latter days. And so at the end of the latter days, the 3.5 years before it expires is the wrath of Hashatan. At the end of that, it's cut, Satan's rule is cut short for the sake of the elect. Otherwise, no flesh would be delivered. So the days are shortened for the sake of his bride, his election. And then comes the wrath of Yahuwah. And then comes the second coming of Yahusha. Then becomes the Millennium Reign. Then comes the white throne judgment. And then comes eternity with the Yahuwah and his bride and the sheep, the flock. Right? And so, is there any proof that we're getting really close? You better believe there is. Okay, and the proof, a lot of the proof is in Matthew 24, 32 through 35, when it talks about the fig tree blossoming. Okay, so this is Israel, and after 2,000 years, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, after World War II, comes back on the map and appears on the maps. Most people believed Israel was long gone. Matter of fact, they were in the process of wanting to get them out of the history books, right? So, 1948, Israel blossomed, became a nation again, it appeared on the world scene and on the maps. Okay, so at that point, The scripture says in Psalms 90:10, the days of our lives are 70 years, or if due to strength, 80 years. So when giving two figures about the same mathematical equation, if you will, we always have to use the outside number to be more accurate. So we have to use the 80 years. We can't use the 70. You have to use the 80. And so we use the 80, yet the best of them is but toil and exertion. A lot of toil and exertion within this 80-year period from the time that Israel was born in 1948 to after the 80 years of its lifetime. There's going to be a lot of toil and exertion, misery, problems. Okay, and there is. They've been without a government for quite a while now. They might be getting one back here shortly, though. For it is soon cut off and we fly away. What does that mean? Well, the end of the wrath of Hashatan is cut off for the sake of the election, and we fly away. We're transformed, given immortality, and we're caught up into the clouds with Yahusha. We fly away to Yahusha as he comes back with his army on the white horses down onto the Mount of Olives. So now we've become part of his army, but actually we're his bride. You're part of the first resurrection group now. So how do we put that together? Well, we go and we know that Yahusha lived 2,000 years ago, approximately 2,000 years ago. Okay. And he had died and was resurrected, right? And ascended all on the fourth day, or the 4,000th year. The prophecy in Hosea says that we only have 2 days, and the third day he's coming back. So 2 days is 1,000 years is 1 day is 1,000 years, and 1,000 years is 1 day in Yahuwah's world, in his reign, in his realm, in his mind. So that means 2 days is 2,000 years. So if Yahusha died on and was staked and died and resurrected on the fourth day, which is 4,000 years, we add 2,000, and that's 6,000 years. That's the end of the time allotted to mankind. So we know when Yahusha was here, and so what we do is we add 2,000 years to that, and instead of being, coming up to 2,000 like it would seem to be, it's actually 2028. Why? Because he died 28 AD. See, and so the first day of creation, the year of creation, was not 0. It was minus 3967, I believe. Let me take a look at that. Been a while since I thought about this. Yeah, minus 3972. His first day of creation, which brings his death to AD 28. So if you add that 2,000 plus that 28, we end up at 2028. Is his projected return? Is that deadly accurate? No, but it's approximate, and it's enough. We're close enough to know that we're really in the end of the latter days. Just say it's 2026 or 2030 or even 2032. It can't be beyond that because we know when Yahusha was here. See what I'm saying? We know when he was here. So all we have to do is add 2,000 more years to come up with his second coming. He's coming back at the end of the 6,000 years. The seventh day is a millennium rest. This is the Millennium Reign. The seventh day, the seventh millennium, is a 1,000-year rest. It happens after the 6,000 years allotted to mankind. So if you go to, say, Hosea 6, I think it's Hosea 6. I haven't thought about this stuff in quite a while. So Hosea 6:1 says, Come and let us turn back to Yahuwah. Repent, turn back, be reconciled with Yahuwah. For he has torn, but does not heal us. I mean, he has torn, but he does heal us. He has stricken, but he binds us up. Okay. And so he hasn't destroyed us, in other words. He's punishing us. He's disciplining us, but he hasn't destroyed us. Okay, is what that's saying. Then 2 says, after 2 days he shall revive us. And on the 3rd day, okay, so 2 days he shall revive us and recounsel us. Okay, 2 days after he ascended. So that's the end of the 6,000 years. 2 days is 2,000 years. On the 4,000, when he died and was resurrected and ascended on the 4th day, didn't go into the 5th day, on the 4th day. Okay, at the end of the 4,000th year. You had 2,000, that's like 6,000 years. But since he died on 28, it's 2028. Okay. Obviously, it can't be 2,000. We've already went beyond that. We can't use 70 because we've already went beyond that. So it has to be that we have to use the 80. It's the outside number. And his death was 28. Okay. He didn't die on the 4,000th year. He died on 28 AD because the first day of creation was 3967 minus. Okay, so anyway, after 2 days he shall revive us. And on the 3rd day, this would be the set going into 3,000 years. Now this is into the Millennium Reign. On the 3rd day is the Millennium Reign we're going into now. He shall raise us up, resurrect us, the first resurrection, right? So that we live before him. Immortal in the Millennium Reign, being kings and priests along with Yahuwah for 1,000 years. Right there it is, Hosea 6. It's called the Hosea 6 prophecy, if you're not familiar. And then Matthew 24 is called the fig tree prophecy. You put those together with some other things, such as we know there's a lot of evidence in scripture that Yahuwah refers to Yisrael as the fig tree. And the generation, according to Yahuwah, 70, but for strength, it's 80. So we use the outside number. And we could do all this math. It can't be anything else. We're out of time, folks. We're out of time. Even the most ignorant people knows that Yahusha is recorded that he was staked on year 4,000 or 28 AD. And from there, we only got 2 days left. We just read it in Hosea, which means 6,000. It ends the 2,000 years left, 2 days, plus the 28 AD, when he died, means 2028. It's mathematics. We're out of time. There's no time left. When we go into the 3rd day, he raises us up and we live before him. That's the resurrection. That's the Millennium Reign. We're running out of time. We're getting very close to the end of the 6,000 years allocated to mankind to rule over himself and make a mess of things. And boy, have we. Okay. So there you go. There's our study on the Millennium Reign. I hope y'all got as much out of it as I did. I mean, it's just a wonderful study. And like I said, we left a whole lot out. We just can't cover it all. But we covered enough that I think we all should have a really great understanding of what's happening prior to the Millennium Reign, what happens during the Millennium Reign, and what happens after the Millennium Reign. And I think we've all got a very good concept, a very good vision picture of all that now after this study. So thank all of you for studying with me this evening, for being here. I can feel your love, man, in Mashiach. And I wish all of you well, man. You know, endure to the end. Those who endure to the end shall be delivered. So endure to the end, folks. It's getting close. We're close. We're getting really close. Whether it be 2026 or up to 2032, in there somewhere, more than likely 2028 tabernacles. Okay. We're running out of time. There's no more math. That's the math given to us in scripture. We just worked out the equation and came up with the sum, 2028, man. It's pretty clear. There's no more math to be had. We only have 2,000 years after the death of Mashiach, man, which was 4,000th year. Add it up. There's no more time. We're only given 6,000 years. We can't say, oh, wait a minute, we got 3,000 more years. No, we don't. We're running out of time. You better get your act together and get right with Yahuwah. Cry out to Yahuwah. Seek out Yahuwah. He's loving. He's kind. He's gentle. He'll give you peace and joy and eternal life. He loves you. He wants you to come back. Return to him. Reconcile with him. Be his bride. Be his people, and he'll be your Elohim. He's a great, wonderful, awesome, merciful Yahuwah. Get to know him. Use his true name. Call out to him. Cry out to him and get to know him. He's wonderful. Peace and love to everybody. Thank you for joining me. Remember to stay in love with Yahusha, Natsarim. So long, beloved of Yahuwah. So long, Natsarim. See you all next week. See a lot of you tomorrow. Zoom at noon on this station, 12 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to finish up our study in 2 Corinthians. It'll be an exciting adventure. Please join us. So long, everybody. So long, beloved of Yahuwah.